Where were you born and raised at?
I was born in Fresno, and I was raised in the city of Reedley.
Okay.
Yeah, I was raised in the city of Reedley my whole life, my whole adult life, all the way until, well, how old was I? Until I purchased my first home when I was like 30, 35.
Okay.
35 at the age of 35.
And so at 35, you moved out of Reedley?
I moved out of Reedley and I moved over to Dinuba.
To Dinuba, okay.
Yeah, at that time, the housing market was more affordable for myself in the city of Dinuba, so I moved out to Dinuba and I've been there for the last 10 years.
Dang. Okay. Dinuba's pretty quiet also?
It's pretty quiet.
Yeah.
I like Dinuba. I like the city of Dinuba. It's quiet. It's like I said, I've been there for 10 years. I like the schools there for my kids. It's a quiet town. I love it.
Yeah. I've never been anywhere that long. So we moved a lot when I was little. Not as much as like a military family might move, but so I was like born on the Central Coast, lived there until I was about 9. Moved up to Stockton because my stepdad's job transferred him up there. Lived in Stockton until I was 17. Moved back to the Central Coast. So long story short, living in Visalia, this year is 7 years since we moved here. And this is the longest I've lived anywhere since graduating high school. And I think next year will be the longest I've lived anywhere.
Wow.
My whole life. Or it'll tie for being the longest. In 2 years, Visalia will become the city I've lived in for the longest stretch of time of my life. So to relate that to, you were born in Fresno because that was probably the closest hospital, right? But
Yeah,
your parents
yes.
were living in Reedley?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So
That's exactly how that
So
happened.
born in Fresno, right? But from Reedley.
From Reedley, yes.
What's it like? And Reedley's fairly small, right?
It's a fairly small community. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong on it. It's about maybe 25,000 people population, give
Yeah.
or take. I mean, I don't remember exactly what
Sure.
the population was.
Okay.
It's a small community that has grown, obviously.
Yeah. What's it like living in a city of that size for 35 years?
Well, the thing that even though it's still a small community growing, what I like about a place like this, and keep in mind, I always call myself kind of boring because I don't really go out very much. I don't travel.
You like an old soul?
I'm like an old soul.
Yeah.
So I go to the same stores every day. I see the same people every single day, the same gas stations every day. So I have a routine.
Yeah.
So go to the gas station, go get my groceries at the same store, and it's the same people all the time. So that's how it's been for me my entire life. We go to the one store, hey, what's going on, Abel? You know the same people. You go to a restaurant, you see the same people because you do it over and over and over.
Right.
But I'm comfortable with that. I love that. It makes me feel homey. It makes me feel at home. It's my comfort zone. And I know other people, like my kids, for example, they love to travel. They're the total opposite of me. They love to travel. They like to discover different parts of the world and different areas of our communities here. But I'm not like that. I get stuck in my comfort zone, and I'm happy with that. I'm content with that.
Yeah.
So that's what I like about a small town living, that everyone knows each other. And it's like I said, it's my comfort zone.
Yeah. So you have siblings?
I have siblings. I have one brother and 2 sisters.
Are they still in the area?
My brother, he got deported from the United States a long time ago. That was with my brother, with my younger brother. He was a younger brother.
He's your younger brother.
Yeah, 2 years younger than me.
So 2 years younger, you were born here, he wasn't.
Yeah. So
what's the story behind that?
So the crazy thing about that, okay, so my parents were immigrants, okay?
Okay.
They came over here back in like 1972. My dad would tell me stories about being able to cross the border back in 1972, in and out like nothing. He said
Right.
there was just a little fence. So they would come in and out. Eventually he met my mom, and he brought her over here to the States. I was born here. For whatever reason, when my mother was pregnant for my brother, he decides to get a crazy idea to go to Mexico. Why? I have no idea. So he goes to Mexico, and bang, my brother's born in Mexico.
Okay.
And then they come, and we stay out there for maybe a good 2 years, I think. So by the time I came back, I was about 4 years old.
Getting ready to go to school.
Getting ready to go to school.
Yeah.
But again, I was legal and my brother wasn't. And my parents weren't legal at this particular time, back in like '84.
They were migrant workers?
Yes, they were migrant workers at the time.
They went to Mexico while your mom was pregnant?
Yeah, while my mom was pregnant, then we come back. I start getting ready to go to school, and I didn't speak English very well because I didn't speak English at all. Just whatever I watched on TV,
Right.
So it was very minimal what I spoke. So
You're learning English through like immersion.
Yes.
Right, yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Exactly. So I get to school and they put me in the what is it called? The
ESL?
ESL.
English as second-
English
yeah.
as a second language. So I found it very difficult to learn the curriculum, whatever the teacher was showing us and teaching us, and to learn English at the same time. So when that happened, I don't think I was where I was supposed to be at the time because of that. So it made it difficult for me to sit there and learn.
Yeah. Because you're trying to learn what they're teaching and you're trying to learn the language they're teaching it in.
Yes.
Right? So,
On that track, I'll fast forward just a little bit with my children. So what I did with my children, all of them, was to speak with them in English. So when they got to school, they didn't have the difficulties that I had, which it kind of sucked in a way because now you kind of need to learn how to speak both languages.
I think it's very
at least
important.
living in our area here.
Yeah.
It's important. I think it's very important just to live in this area because obviously, you got a community of a lot of Hispanics. It's a multicultural
yeah.
here in this
Yeah,
area.
yeah. The whole Southwest, this used to be Mexico.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
So I think it is important. My wife and I, we study Spanish on Duolingo. I tried taking Spanish in high school as my requirement for high school credit, and I couldn't get the R's down. And so my mom did French in high school. I'm like, all right, well, I'm gonna do French. And now I'm learning Spanish. I actually learned more Spanish being part of the workforce than I did taking it for a year in high school.
Yeah.
And so it's just important, man. Like, especially, like I said, Southwest California, Arizona, New Mexico, stuff like that, areas like that. Like you said, it's all multicultural, right?
Yeah.
So I think to that point, a lot of problems between people come down, and we can get into this in more detail too, but just poor communication skills.
Yeah.
And even if both people speak the same language, if you're just bad at communicating, that can lead to problems.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So
definitely.
if you live in an area where people speak more than one language, or they speak a language that's not yours, you need to build good communication skills, and then you need to learn how to communicate to those people that don't speak the language you
yeah,
speak.
of course.
But so your brother, not born here. What about your sisters?
So my sisters didn't come out until 1988. So I was born from 1980.
Oh, your sisters are like
Yeah.
my age.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my
A
sisters
little
didn't come
younger.
out until 1988. So I'm from 1980. My brother's from 1982.
Okay.
Then my sisters didn't come out until 1988.
Are they twins?
They're twins. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They're twins.
All right.
I have twin sisters.
My wife's a twin, and my
Okay.
mom's a twin.
Oh yeah. Oh. So my dad was a twin. My dad was
All
a
right.
twin, and then my sisters were twins.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. So where were your sisters born?
They were born here.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it was just like
Yeah.
a weird.
Yes, it was one
thing with
whatever
your brother.
whatever little thing my dad got at the time. He decided to go to Mexico, and that's what happened with my brother.
So after you guys come back, you're 4, your brother's a baby.
Yeah. That's
How often were you guys going back to Mexico?
We weren't anymore after
Okay.
after we came back after that we settled here, and then I think, if I'm not mistaken, back in 1986 when Ronald Reagan gave them amnesty, they applied for their legal documentation.
Okay.
And they got their legal documentation after that. So from like 1986, 87, they became legal.
Okay.
So they were able. We didn't go back into Mexico, if I'm not mistaken, until like 1989.
Okay.
But by that time we would only go for a couple of weeks, maybe a month at the most.
Okay.
So I got to see the Mexican community in Mexico. Actually, I got to be deep into Mexico, into the ranches, and so I know the living down there. You
Okay.
know?
So when you would take these trips to Mexico, were there certain family members you'd visit all the time?
Oh yeah, my grandparents. We'd visit my grandparents. We'd visit my aunts, my uncles, cousins, because I have a huge family over there. Here in California, I don't have very many family members, but in Mexico, we have a huge family.
And this
Huge.
is
And-
your mom and your dad's side of the family?
Yes.
You would see both sides
Yes,
when you'd go
yes.
down there?
Yeah, they actually lived like a few blocks away from each
Oh,
other.
wow.
Both,
Okay.
both sides of the family.
Cool.
So,
That's
yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. So, do you have any like aunts or uncles here in California?
I have one uncle, one aunt and an uncle that live here in Orosi.
Okay.
And they've that's the only aunt that I have. She's my dad's sister.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about your kids? You were saying, what, 4 out of 5 of your kids are adults? Right?
Yes. Yeah.
And one of them is still with you.
Yeah, my
right?
youngest, she's 9 years old.
Yeah.
She's the one that's with me 24/7.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
she-
your adult children, where are they at? What are they doing?
So my oldest, his name's Abel. He's an electrician. So he's
Another
he's,
trade?
Yeah, he's doing his thing.
Yep.
My other son, he's a welder.
Okay.
The welder just took after me,
Yeah.
I guess. But he's doing his thing too. My other son, he works at a warehouse. He's currently trying to find his way into life and trying to figure out what he's gonna do.
Okay.
So he has a son, as a matter of fact. So I am a grandpa.
Okay.
I am a grandpa, and my oldest, he has 2 daughters as well.
Okay.
So I'm a grandfather to 3 children.
Wow.
3 grandchildren.
Are they all still local?
Yeah.
To the Reedley area?
Local to the area, not the Reedley area, but local
Okay.
to our area. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So, what was childhood like? Growing up, small town. Parents are migrant workers trying to become legal. This is like the opposite of me being a kid, right? So like, what's that like? What's that look like for a young Abel growing up in Reedley?
It was very difficult. It was very difficult. But now the way I see it now, it was a very beautiful thing that happened to me because it developed me into the person that I am now. But it was very difficult because we were poor. We weren't like suffering like we had no food, but we didn't have what other people had. So to give you a better understanding, I went to a school where at that particular time, it was, I'm not sure if I can say, but or without it sounding racist or anything, because I'm not racist, but it was a lot of white people, and at the time, Mexicans were barely starting to get into the schools.
Okay.
They've always been there, but just as a population, it wasn't as big yet.
Okay.
So I developed that, what would you even call it? Racist wasn't even a thing in my mind because I was always raised around different colored kids,
Yeah.
white kids. There was no black children in my school at the time, but Asian people.
Yeah.
So it was just, like that wasn't even a thought.
Children are innocent.
Yes,
right.
yes, exactly.
My wife and I, so our daughter knows like what Spanish is. She knows what Italian is. She knows what Korean is, like language-wise, right? But my wife and I don't. We may have slipped up once or twice, but when we talk to our daughter about different people, it's like, everybody's different. Everybody looks different. Everybody sounds different. Different shapes, different sizes, different skin tones, right?
Yeah.
So, and she understands that, but that's the extent of it.
Yeah.
It's never like somebody's race when we're talking to our daughter is never like part of the conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
Because like it's not important, right? And we're trying to break bad habits that our great grandparents gave our grandparents, gave our parents,
Yeah.
and that, right? And I think it's like slowly starting to trickle out, but like it doesn't matter if like, oh, they're speaking Spanish. She'll say that those people are speaking Spanish. It's like, yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not like it's not anything beyond that, right? So when you say there was a bunch of white kids and the Mexican kids were like slowly starting to integrate, were the Mexican kids going to different schools?
No,
Or-
we were all in the same schools.
Okay.
We were all in the same schools, so we were all friends. So
Okay.
that's what I'm saying. There wasn't not 1 ounce of racism as children, and that's what helped me grow into the adult that I am now without there being any signs of racism, anything. Like when I see a white man, of course I see him as a white. You're a white man. I'm a brown.
We're
man.
not colorblind.
Yeah, but I see you as a person, as a human. I don't see you for the color of your skin or anything else like that. Because from a young age, I've always been around different colored people, you know.
Yeah.
So that's not even anything. But going back to your question, how was it? It was. I grew up very poor. You know, we grew up in a little shack. When we came back, my dad moved us into a small little shack. It was literally a shack. It was a house, in back of a house. My mom told me that at the time, before we moved in there, it was used as a chicken shack of some sort.
Paint us a word picture for when you say your mom. You said your mom, right? She called it a chicken coop.
Yes, my
right?
mom called it a chicken coop.
Okay, so give us some detail into like what the situation was with that.
So keep in mind, I was probably still like 4 years old at the time, and she always called it a chicken coop. So it was as you walked in, I could still remember it. It was a small little kitchen. I don't remember the size, the exact square footage, but it was a small little kitchen. You could fit a small table. I don't think a huge table. You could fit a small table to the left-hand side as you walked in. Then you go past that, and it was a very small living room. I think one of those little love seats, and then the other bigger one. I forget what you call that one. But anyways, and just a TV. And then you walk over to the right in a small restroom. There wasn't nothing big, you know. And then you got the bedroom, which was one bedroom. It wasn't like a huge bedroom either. It was just a small bedroom. Our parents slept on one side of the bedroom, and then we slept on the other side. So it was nothing like. So when I say a chicken coop, that's how my mom referred to it.
Yeah.
But it wasn't actually like what you see now, where you have chickens in your backyard and it's a small little shed of some sort. It wasn't like that, you know. It wasn't something small like that. You know, it was a family of four, so it's just that's how my mom referred it to as a chicken coop.
When your mom referred to it as a chicken coop, because now I'm kind of thinking about how part of me wants to think every mom is kind of the same way when it comes to stuff like this. But do you think, was your mom referring to it as a chicken coop because maybe she was like bitter about living in a house so small, or was this literally at one point used for chickens?
If I'm not mistaken, from what she says, again, keep in mind I was only 4 years old or 3, whatever I was, and I don't think she was ever bitter because she came from Mexico, where she literally came from nothing.
Okay.
So she was never used to having, you know, anything extravagant or, you know, cars or anything like that. So she didn't know what having money was. So she wasn't bitter about it. It's just that she was told that it was a chicken coop. I mean, I don't know what it was. You know?
So
it was just a small little place.
Yeah. She meant it almost factually,
Yes.
not out of resentment.
No. Mom, like, you got to keep in mind, my mom's always been very humble. She's never been a person that you know, of money. She's never driven anything fancy. You know, she's never had fancy clothes in her life. You know, I think my sisters and myself were probably the first ones to buy her like some expensive name brand cologne, or not cologne, perfume for her. You know, so she didn't know anything about money, as far as not money, but as far as
the American way, right?
The American way.
Yeah.
Until we grew up and we started showing her those kind of things.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I don't even think she went into like a nice restaurant until I got older and was able to take her
out to dinner.
Yeah, until I took her out to dinner. You know, but she was never out there, you know, wearing jewelry or, you know, anything Gucci or nothing like that. She did not know anything about that.
Okay.
So no, she's a very humble woman. You know.
So, as an adult now, that you know, at some point you got your first apartment when you moved out and whatnot. Looking back, the house that you and your brother and your parents lived in for so long, would you compare it to like a small one-bedroom apartment?
Yeah, give or take. Yeah.
Like pretty modest.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. In an alley.
In an alley. So your front door opened up
and it was
into
to the
a
alley.
back alley.
Yeah, it was to the alley.
And you said that this house later, like, because you lived in that house until you were 18.
Yes.
But during that time, it got remodeled.
Yes, I guess the owners decided that they wanted to actually build a real home there. So they told us, okay, we got to get you guys out, and you guys can come back when the house is actually built. At that particular time, my sisters were born, and we actually went to an apartment which that was like our first apartment, you know, well, at least mine, you know.
Yeah.
I was like, oh wow, it's different here now. But anyways, we moved out for about a year or so, and then we came back and we actually went into a house.
Yeah.
But it was a trip because I always lived in an alley. Like I'd never seen a bunch of cars, you know, I never lived on the street. I was raised in an alley my whole entire life. I never got to see, you know, the mailman deliver mail.
Right.
I never got to see, you know, what normal people would see living on a street, you know.
People in the neighborhood
People in the
driving
neighborhood
by.
driving by.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
an alley. It's
Quiet.
It's quiet. It's
The
an
whole
alley.
time, yeah.
It was quiet up until I turned, until I got into my teens, where we started partying and just bringing the trouble. But that was a whole
Yeah,
different story there.
When they remodeled it, did they make it larger?
They made
Or
it
did-
larger, yeah.
Okay.
They
all
made it
right.
larger. Yeah, because there was property there, but where we were at, it was just small.
Yeah.
But there was more property there.
Okay,
that
so
yeah.
they full on like
Yeah.
made it larger.
Yes.
Put in some like
Yes.
real flooring.
And my mom still lives there.
To this day?
To this day, she still lives there. Yeah, she still lives there. Since 1984-ish. They knocked it down. She left for about a year. We went back, and she's still there in 2025.
How old were your parents when you guys moved into that place?
So my mom beats me by 20 years exactly. So if I was 4, she was 24. And my
Okay.
dad beats her by like 2 years. So he was 26-ish. Wow. 24, 26, and I was 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so anyways, so they fixed it up to it could be livable. So we lived there from like 1984 up until 1988, 89.
Okay.
And then they took that little shed down and they built a nice little home, comfortable home, you know, 3-bedroom home.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, we lived in an alley. In an alley, out of all the places in an alley, I've lived in an alley all my entire life up until
Until you bought your house?
until I got into my house.
So that 3-bedroom house that they built, right? That was right after your sisters were born?
Yes, right
So
after
who
my
built
sister.
the house?
The
Your
owners
Okay.
of the property.
Okay.
The owners of a property. Yeah.
And how long did you live in that house total?
Man, so I lived in that house from like 1984, when my parents came back from Mexico, from 1984 all the way until 1998. Okay, up until 1998.
Dang, 14 years.
Yes. So I lived in that place up until I turned 18. When I turned 18, I wanted to move out already. I wanted to
Right.
do my thing. So obviously I wasn't going to stay with my parents anymore.
Yeah.
So I moved out. So it was 14 years. It was
Yeah.
a long time.
You're in that same house for 14 years. You graduated high school?
I did not graduate high school.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll go back a few years back still
Okay.
to my childhood. We'll eventually get to that point of why I didn't graduate from high school.
Okay.
So from a very young age, and I really don't bring this up. I think the last time I brought this up was to my daughter, my 9-year-old now, to her teacher. At the time, COVID had just started, and the schools, they locked them down. They didn't know what to do. So et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Make a long story short, the district sent a teacher to our house so she can start teaching my daughter. I think it was like preschool or whatever it was during COVID. So this
Dang, dude, it just clicked with me, right? I'm sorry to interrupt,
No,
but
go
it
ahead.
just clicked. Your daughter's 9.
9, yes.
COVID was so long ago. She's getting ready for preschool.
Yes.
I'm still thinking COVID was like 2 months ago.
It's crazy how time
that
flies. Eh?
stuff traumatized us. Dude.
Yes,
It's like,
yes.
oh, that just that's
Yes.
5 years ago.
Yes, that's 5 years ago.
Crazy.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
All right, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
I had to catch up to where you're at. I'm like, hold on, preschool. She's 9 years old. Why is your daughter going to preschool at 9? Sorry.
Yeah,
okay.
no. So my daughter, my 9-year-old, is about to get ready to go into preschool.
Okay.
But at that particular time, the schools closed down. Okay.
Right.
Because of COVID, they didn't know what to do, so they shut everything down. So, anyways, they sent this teacher out. She was an older lady, and the teacher started speaking with me, and I don't know why. I can't remember the reason why it got brought up. But we started talking about my childhood, just like we already know. And somehow we got into the conversation about the violence that was in my household at that time. And it's still to this day it traumatizes me, and it sometimes it brings tears to my eyes. But we'll try not to let that.
It's
get to
okay.
me.
It's okay.
So
I can relate to this somewhat.
Yeah.
I don't know where it's going, but I can already relate.
Yeah.
So it's all good, man.
So, and not too many people know about this, but I have to say this part so you could understand what happens the rest of my life.
Okay.
So, I'm about 4 years old, right? we're living in that little shack that I told you about. And I wake up one morning in the middle of my bed. It's in the middle of the night, and I wake up to screaming and yelling and arguments. And I wake up, and I'm a little kid. I'm a 4-year-old kid. And keep in mind that at that time, that shack had cement. It was cement. It was cement ground. We didn't have like, tile or anything. It was a shack. It was a little shed.
Literally a chicken coop.
Little chicken coop. Yeah. So it was cement. And I remember seeing my dad on top of my mother. My mom was on the ground on the cement with her back towards the cement, and my dad was just punching her in the face. And I'm right there trying to, 4-year-old kid, hey, getting him away from my mom, I'm a 4-year-old kid, what am I gonna do? Nothing. He's just punching her in the face. And my mom's like, get away, because she didn't want us to get hit by him. And my little brother was, like I said, he was 2. He was a young little kid. He didn't know what, I don't even think he woke up that night. And that's my first thing that I remember of my childhood as a child, is waking up to violence. So that happened all through those years, I probably didn't see every single thing that happened because I was a young child, but I got to witness a lot of it.
You saw it more than once.
Oh, way more than once. And looking back at it, I'm like, man, what the heck was I was a little kid seeing this violence, that wasn't right.
Yeah.
That was not right, man. So all my adolescent years, all that happened there, I start getting into my teens without any guidance, okay? My mom it still is to this day, one of my biggest supporters, okay? She tried her best to raise me as best as she could with whatever little education that she had, but she tried her very best. But she had to work. So my dad was a workaholic and an alcoholic, and eventually he would be very abusive. I had no guidance, even though my mom tried as hard as she tried, it wasn't enough. You need that male figure in your life, and a positive male figure in your life,
right.
Not just a negative influence in your life,
Right.
So I get into my teenage years with no guidance. Well, I start hanging around my friends, which at the time, this is a huge group of friends that we all got raised in the same neighborhood.
Okay.
We know each other for many, many years, since like the 80s. We start getting involved into gangs, okay? From there, we start experimenting with marijuana, drugs. Drugs, I didn't get involved with drugs too much. I tried them. It wasn't my thing. I didn't like it. To this day, it was like drugs is like, no. But I got some friends that got very heavily involved into drugs, into gangs, and eventually, one thing led to another. Friends started going to jail, started going to prison, and it was all going back to not having the proper guidance,
Strong male role model.
Exactly.
Right.
So my dad.
Can I ask you, at this point in time, how old would you say you are with the weed and the gangs and
about
whatnot?
14, 15 years old. About 14, 15 years old. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm at 14, 15 years old. My dad starts at that time. My dad starts being very abusive towards me. So
Okay.
the abuse goes now. I guess because I was older, it starts going towards me. By this time, I was already turning into a young man. I remember the first time that my dad did that. As an adult, he tried to hit me. I was already 15 years old, and he was trying to hit me. I'm like, oh, this is not gonna happen anymore, And I mean, I regret it now, but at the time, it was like, it's sad to think about it now, but I pulled out a knife on him. Because he was trying to hit me. But you got to keep in mind all the things that had happened already all these other years.
You pulled out a knife
On
in
my-
self-defense,
Yeah.
right? Regardless of
Yeah.
who this person is.
Yes, exactly. But by this
It
time,
just sucks that
it had been,
it's
it
your
had
dad.
to be my dad.
Yeah.
But by this time, it was so many years of abuse. So I ended up going to jail. For that. My dad said I was, trying to hit him or whatever. I don't even think he said anything about the knife, because if not, I would have been in bigger trouble.
So you got arrested simply
Several
for
times.
the fight.
Several times.
You
It
got
was-
arrested.
Yes, I got arrested several times.
fighting with your dad.
For fighting with my dad, because my dad would call the police, and then I'd go to jail. But then I never told them. They never knew any of this background. What led to it? No one ever knew any of this. So I go to juvenile hall several times because of fighting with my dad. And this whole time, now as an adult, I'm like, man, that sucked. I had to go to jail, but they never knew the background of why
Yeah.
it led into any of this. So we start getting, like I said, the abuse starts happening. We started getting involved in bigger activities, you know, with other gangs, and start fighting and causing us just trouble, havoc. Okay.
Right.
By this time, I'm already 16. I'm a sophomore in high school. We get into this big old fight. Second week of high school, we get into this big old rumble at school, at high school. Okay, our gang, their gang, get into this big old rumble. They end up catching, I don't know how many of us they caught, but I happen to be one of them. They catch me. They suspend me for the whole year. They said that I could go back to continuation.
Yeah.
So as I'm 1 week before I go, before I had to go into continuation, I decided to go with one of my friends. We go to the high school, and we fight again. Another group of kids.
Oh, a different group. This
a
time.
different group
All
of
right.
kids, and they suspend me, or they expel me from the continuation without even going to the continuation.
You haven't even started there.
I
yet.
haven't even started the continuation, and I get expelled.
They're like, don't show up.
Yeah, they're just, you're done. So I didn't get to graduate. I had to go to adult school.
Okay.
Because I knew somehow in my mind, I knew that I had to go to school. I had to do something. I couldn't just bum it at home. So whether it was my mom, you know, helping me and pushing me to go to continue, at least getting my my adult
Diploma.
school diploma of some sort.
Yeah.
So I got it.
GED.
Yeah. So my
Yeah.
GED. So I ended up getting my GED.
At what age?
I think I was 18, 19.
Okay.
18, 19.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was still at a fairly young age.
But this is all on your own, right? Because now you're not going to like
I'm not
public
obligated
school.
anymore. Yeah. No, I'm not obligated. I remember driving myself to adult school at night, and you know, taking the classes that I had to take,
Right.
so I could be able to get that diploma,
Right.
or the GED, whatever it was. So, anyways, by this time I already had 2 kids. You know, like, let me backtrack. When I was 16, I had another child.
Okay.
You know, and God bless his heart, he's turned into be a good young man. But you know, I'm 16 years old with a child, and I'm still a child myself. I'm like, what the heck? You know, now I look at all this from a different perspective, obviously.
Right.
But I'm like, what was I doing at 16 with a child, man? Like, you know, that was like, what am I doing there? You know, so things didn't work out with his mom, and we split up. I ended up getting myself in another relationship, and we ended up having 3 children by this time. By this time, I'm already 18, 19 years old.
Okay.
Now, I'm somewhat being responsible. I'm working now. I'm not thinking about college at the time. I'm thinking about going into just working, making money, because I had to work.
Yeah, you got 4 kids.
Well, this time I had, back in 98, I only had 2 children.
Okay. Okay.
In 98, I only had 2 children.
Okay.
So 98, one was born in 96, one was born in 98. Okay, we got to work.
Right.
We got to do something. I moved out of my mom's house in 1998, 98, 99. I get my first little apartment, and I get my first little apartment, and I was still involved with gang activity. Still doing things that I wasn't supposed to be doing. I was 19 years old. My mind wasn't there.
Yeah.
And thank God I never did drugs like that, man, because if not, that would have been a whole different animal that I would have been having to deal with. But anyways, the money that I wanted to make wasn't there. It wasn't there.
Right.
Without any type of education other than high school, you weren't really gonna go too far or get too far.
Right.
Okay. And this was 98, 99, 2000. So I'm like, I'm working at a burrito factory in Dinuba, and I'm just like, okay, this money's not cutting it. My wife at the time, her dad was a drug dealer, and he passed away now, so we can speak about it. But hopefully she don't get mad at me for. But it's a part of my life.
Names. Hey,
It was
no
a
names.
part of my life.
No names. It's
Okay?
all good, right?
It was a part of my life, so it's I have to say it. So I'm 21 years old, okay, not making the money that I want to make, and I decided to go into TJ, where my ex-father-in-law was living at the time. He caught a case here, a federal case, so he didn't have to, but he fled the country, skipped his bail, and moved into TJ. So now this is in 2001. So, like I said, in 2001, I decided to go work with my father-in-law, and in TJ, and you know, he's starting up his business down there. You know, he's already got people smuggling drugs into the U.S. 2001. And keep in mind, back in those years, it was a lot easier to do
This
those
is
kind of things.
Pre 9/11.
Pre 9/11, exactly.
Yeah.
Pre 9/11. So the security wasn't as it, like how it is now.
Yeah.
Now, whoa, yeah, you can't do that now. So I'm a young 21-year-old Abel, trying to figure out how I'm gonna make money. I knew that opportunity was always there, so I decided to go to TJ. 21-year-old Abel going to TJ. You know, I'd been to TJ many times, but never to bring drugs from.
Right.
from
Now, is this
Mexico.
like, have you quit your job and you're going to go down and see him? Or is this like a weekend thing? I'm going to run down there real quick.
My idea was to make it a weekend thing.
Okay.
My idea was to make it a weekend thing and just make extra cash.
Perfect.
Yeah. In my head, it was
Supplemental income.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
yes. But when I get there, he's like, "You need to quit your job." I'm like, "What the?" He's like, "You're gonna do this full time." I'm like, "Whoa, I'm gonna do this full time." He's like, "Yeah, we're gonna be doing this full time." And this was cocaine that we were trafficking at the time. Cocaine and
Serious
heroin.
narcotics.
Oh yeah, it was
Yeah.
serious. You know, and I look back at these years now, and I'm like, at the time, I didn't realize how serious that was. You know. I was just having fun, wanting to
Young and dumb, right?
and
like,
dumb.
What'd you say,
Young and dumb.
21?
21
right?
years old.
Like, dude,
Yeah.
I didn't know anything when I
Yeah.
was 21. I thought I did,
Yeah.
but yeah.
So I'm out there running around at the clubs, at the bars, down at TJ, you know, not even knowing the dangers that I was under, this trouble that I could have got myself into.
Yeah.
You know, I was going to these bars thinking, oh man, you know, we're gonna be these drug traffickers, you know. And keep in mind, back in these years, the internet wasn't available
Oh, yeah.
like how it is now.
Yeah.
So when you heard about drug traffickers, it was just through music, through articles that you would read,
Right.
you know, magazines, newspapers. That's the only way that you were able to get this information, especially through Mexican music. You know, there's a thing called corridos.
Yeah.
And in corridos, there's stories of, you know, not all of them are like that, but a lot of them are of drug trafficking, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the only way that you were able to understand the culture of
Through the music.
Through the music, movies. There was stuff like that involved, but they weren't very popular in the Mexican American culture.
Okay.
Okay, there was these movies, Mario Almada movies. I know you don't know them, but these Mario Almada movies, Valentin Trujillo.
Is that somebody's name?
Yeah, Mario Almada. These were actors that will portray themselves as drug dealers in movies.
Okay.
So back in the 80s.
Okay.
So that's the only reason, or the only way that you were able to get like information was through movies and stuff like that.
Sure.
So it's not like it is now, where you got narcos and you got all these people, you know, making different series on drug traffickers. It wasn't
Right.
like that before.
Right.
So anyways, so I'm down there in Mexico, and in TJ, and we get to the spot where they have the drugs, man, and they got a load of cocaine and a load of heroin, and they're like, well, this is what we're gonna have to traffic over to the U.S. I'm like, okay, wow. I'm like, okay, well, we're gonna do it 1 kilo at a time.
Okay.
1 kilo at a time, okay? Because let me backtrack at this. At that time, 9/11 had just happened, okay?
Okay.
9/11 had just happened. I started getting into the drug trade in October, 1 month after.
Gotcha.
Prior to that, it was easy. You can go on bicycles, because I promise you this. The man I was working for, he wanted me to go on a bicycle, and what I was supposed to say is that I'm going to work.
Okay.
In San Isidro.
And you just
okay?
got a backpack
and
or
you
something?
just got a backpack and your lunch, and you're going into the U.S. and going to go work, but you got a kilo of cocaine with you.
1 kilo at a time.
1 kilo at a time.
That's crazy.
1 kilo at a time. Yeah. So anyway, so I'm over here. I'm like, I don't want to do a bicycle. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do a bicycle. I'm like, I'm gonna walk. They're like, okay, you want to walk? You're gonna go across the border, okay? So at the time, I had just finished watching the movie. The movie Blow had just came out, okay?
Okay.
I don't know if you're familiar with the movie Blow.
Yep,
Yeah, it just came out. And I remember Johnny Depp saying the first time he crossed the border, but he had keys in his suitcase.
Yeah.
You got to think about something, a happy moment in your life. So that's the only thing that stuck to my head. I got to think about a happy moment in my life till I can cross this border without getting nervous. Okay? Keep in mind, 9/11 that just happened. They got all the security enforcement there. You know, it's like, oh my God, like I'm gonna walk through the border like with a kilo of cocaine. So I managed to get the first kilo of cocaine. The guy I was working for, he's waiting for me on the other side of the border, and he's like, okay, you got to cross. Now we're gonna go drop it off where we got to drop it off at. So we go on the trolley. I don't know how it is now. I haven't been down there in years, Get on the trolley.
I'm sorry, where's this at? San
It's
Diego?
San Isidro.
San Isidro. Okay.
San Isidro. Right as you're leaving, right as you're crossing over,
Gotcha.
now you're outside of the border.
Yeah.
Their offices that they got there, and the trolley's there. We get on the trolley, and we go all the way to San Diego. So now I'm in the middle of San Diego, okay? Downtown San Diego. I've never been to the city of San Diego before in my life. Never. 21 years old. I'm walking around the downtown San Diego, huge buildings with a kilo of cocaine.
Just a boy from Reedley.
Just a boy from Reedley walking around with a kilo of cocaine. I'm like, what the heck am I doing here, man?
Yeah.
Well, we needed to stop there because we needed to get a cell phone.
Okay.
And at the time, you bought the cell phone and you got minutes on it. You bought the minutes.
Yep.
And so walking around, I'm like, San Diego. Well, so this is how I see San Diego with a kilo of cocaine.
Yeah.
So I get the train and I end up going down into Southern California. The guy tells me, okay, this is a crazy story here. The guy tells me, you're gonna get to this train station in, I can't remember the name of the city right now. You're gonna get to that train station. The guy that you're gonna give the kilo to, he'll recognize you. I'm like, but what is he wearing? He's like, don't worry about it.
He'll know you.
He'll know you. I'm like, all right, okay, cool. Okay. So, all right, I'm not gonna ask any more questions. I get off that train. I go into the train station. I'm sitting there on these wooden benches that they got there in that train station. I'm there. I don't know. It must have been. To me, it felt like an hour. I don't know what it was. Keep in mind, I only had this little flip phone that I had on me
with minutes on it.
With minutes on it.
Nobody's number.
I don't have anybody's number. I don't know how to communicate with anyone.
Right.
So I'm just there waiting and waiting. This man approaches me. He was about maybe a couple years older than me. He approaches me. He's like, "You got the stuff." As unbelievable as this sounds, I'm like, this is 100% real. He comes up to me sitting across the bench like this. He goes, "You got the stuff?" I'm like, "Yeah, you're the one?" And he goes, "Yeah, I'm the one." He goes, "Let's go into the restroom." I'm like, "All right, let's go into the restroom." We walk into the restroom, and he goes, "Do you have a spoon?" And I'm like, "Whoa, a spoon?"
You're like, "What?"
And I'm like, "What the heck are you talking about, a spoon?" So I'm there in the restroom, and I'm like, "This isn't the guy." I'm like, what the heck is going on right here?
Oh, he's thinking he's just gonna score some.
Yes, he's thinking he's just gonna score some.
Yeah.
I'm about to go give him a whole kilo of cocaine. I'm about to give this guy a whole kilo of cocaine. And I'm like, oh wow, no, you're not the guy. But in my head, I'm like, these idiots didn't tell me what the guy looked like.
Yeah, you got nothing to go off of,
I got nothing to
right?
go off of. This random dude tells me, I'm in the middle of a train station with, I don't know, several, 20,
Hundreds
30,
of people.
hundreds of people, whatever it was there.
Yeah.
And you pick me. So I'm assuming I'm,
Yeah.
So we're in this restroom, and he goes, "Do you got a spoon?" And I'm like, what do you mean a spoon? What do you want a spoon for? Like, well, I need a knife to cut this, because it was taped on my legs, okay? Half a kilo here, half a kilo here. So I'm like, I'm like, I need a knife, dude. And he's, a knife. He goes, I'm like, I need to get out of here. I'm in this restaurant just with this man.
Something's not right.
Something's gonna happen here. He's gonna rip me off.
Yeah.
I need to get out of here. I don't know what happened, man, but a train had just stopped and a bunch of men walked into the restroom at this particular time when I'm like, what am I gonna do here?
Yeah, it's about to pop off.
It's about to pop off. All these men come into the restroom to use the restroom, and then we're all suited to top it off. I don't know, some businessmen, whatever they were.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I gotta go. I take off. He's like, hey, where you going? Where you going? I take off. I'm like, no, I gotta go. I get out of that train station. I'm walking down the road from that train station, and I'm like, where am I gonna go, man? Like, I don't know where I'm gonna go here. Like, I don't know this area. I'm walking. I finally get almost out of the property from the train station. This vehicle approaches me. He calls me by my name, a Mexican man with his wife and his 2 children in the back with an SUV. He approaches me. He goes, hey, calls me by my name. I'm like, yeah, that's me. He goes, get in. It's me. I'm like, okay. I get in. He goes, you got it? I go, yeah. He goes, I'm the guy. I'm like, God, man, I didn't tell him.
You're like, this is twice in 10 minutes.
Man, I was just gonna go give away a kilo of cocaine to some random dude.
Or get robbed by a junkie.
Or get robbed by a junkie.
Right? Yeah.
Like, whoa, could you imagine me giving him as soon as I pull out a kilo of cocaine, he's not gonna be like, okay, just give me.
No.
No, he's gonna take that thing and run.
He's got 2 decisions to make. I can rob this guy.
Yep.
Or I can be like, oh, this is way over my head. I'm out of here.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
I don't want to find out which decision he's going to make.
Yes,
right?
exactly. Yeah.
That's insane.
So this man, to this day, now as an adult, I'm like, man, what do these people put their kids through? So I get in the SUV, okay? The guy goes, okay, well, where's the stuff? I go, it's strapped on my legs. I go, I need a knife to cut the tape off. His kids are in the back seat. They're children, man. They're probably, one of them's probably like 5. I remember a little girl, and the little boy was probably like, the little boy that just came through.
Yeah,
maybe
about
what
his
is it,
age.
10, 11,
Yeah,
however
yeah.
old he was. And I'm like, your children are here. He goes, it's okay, don't worry about it. Just take off your pants. I mean, I had my boxers on.
Right.
He goes, I'll take off your pants and just cut the tape off and give me the cocaine. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, I felt awkward. And this is a
Yeah.
21-year-old Abel. And I felt awkward. Those weren't even my kids, and I felt awkward.
Yeah.
So I cut the tape off, give him the cocaine. They drop me back off. I get back into the train and head back into TJ. Well, when I get back to TJ, I tell the guy I was working for, I'm like, hey, I almost lost a kilo of cocaine, man. He's like, what? What do you mean? You didn't tell me what the dude looked like, man. You didn't tell me what the guy looked like. You should have given me more information,
Yeah.
man. Like, come on, man. This isn't a joint that we're talking about
Yeah,
here.
yeah. Set me up for failure.
Yes, exactly.
You know what I mean?
So I get back, and I end up having a good time. I go to a club. I have a good time with my friend. I had a friend with me at the time. We ended up going to this nightclub, and we just drank away, and just were successful that night.
How long would you say that entire thing, from you walking across to you getting back to the club with your friend, how long would you say that?
That was a whole day.
A whole day?
Yeah, that was a whole day. So
Okay.
we were supposed to do this every day until we got rid of the stuff.
that pallet,
Yeah.
or whatever it
Yeah.
was. Yeah.
It wasn't a pallet. It was just on the it was crazy because you got into this house in Mexico. He had a metal door. Open up that metal door, which would, at the time, I remember seeing them like the prison keys.
Yeah, the big key ring.
Yeah. Then you walked into another room, and then he had another door that was similar to that, and then he had one more door that led into a basement, and then that's where all the stuff was at. Yeah, so it was pretty wild, man. So anyways, I think about it now. I'm like, man, we could have got robbed out there in TJ. If I would have got in trouble in TJ with this stuff, I would have got some major time down there, man.
Yeah.
Some major time down there.
Would it would have been worse
Oh, it would
there
have been
than
worse.
it would have been
Oh,
here?
definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely would have been worse. Those jails, I've never been in a jail in TJ or in Mexico in general, but I know that they're worse.
Okay.
They're worse. The punishments are a lot worse. The time that you get is a lot more. It's not, here, yeah, jail and prison are bad, but not as bad as they are in Mexico.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
yeah.
right.
And besides that, you would have got an ass beating down there.
Yeah.
You would have got an ass beating by the police. Those police don't mess around. Or they would have robbed you. Because at the time, police were corrupt down there.
Yeah.
This was right at the time where the war hadn't started yet in Mexico. So this was in 2001. I believe the war started in 2002, 2002, 2003.
Okay.
So I
Between
barely...
the cartels and the
yeah,
government?
between the cartels and the government and all that. And then the cartels eventually against the cartels. So I barely missed that.
Okay.
So anyways, I did it a couple times. Not too many times. I didn't do it too many times. I ended up getting busted. So let me tell you this. I'm walking into the border again, okay? To the offices, just like I'm thinking, okay.
You're coming to the States.
Coming to the States, coming with another kilo of cocaine,
Taped to the legs.
taped to the legs. I'm thinking everything's gonna be fine, I've done it
Done it a
already.
handful of times or whatever.
And I go through the metal detectors. I set the metal detector off, okay? I set the metal detector off, and I'm like, damn, what happened? The guy goes, come here. He goes, let me pat you down. He goes, what do you got? He goes, what do you got on you? I go, nothing. He goes, let me pat you down. Patted me down, the front side of myself, and then he goes, put your hands against the wall. Let me pat you in the backside. Felt the kilo of cocaine right there, right away. What? Half a kilo here, half a kilo there. He goes, what do you have back there? I go, I don't know. He goes, what do you mean you don't know? I go, I don't know. I go, I don't know what it is, man. So anyways, he goes, come on, they handcuff me, stick me in the room, and they test it, and I knew what it was gonna be.
Yeah.
And he goes,
But you don't need to tell them you
I
know
don't.
what it
Yeah,
is.
yeah. He goes, so what do you have there? I go, you know what? They're illegal diet pills. They're illegal diet pills that you can't get over here in the United States. The cop goes, those weren't illegal diet pills, right? And I go, no. He goes, that's 100% cocaine right there. I'm like, wow. I'm like, okay. He's well, what happens now? He goes, well, you're gonna be charged federally. I'm like, whoa.
Because of the
Federally.
border crossing?
Because of the border crossing and because of the amount of cocaine that it was. Yeah. So I'm like, whoa, 21 years old. I'm like, federal. Like, wow. So I just skipped through the
Straight to the big
federal,
leagues.
straight to the big leagues. I'm like, man, like what the heck is going on right here, you know? So they take me to now I'm seeing San Diego again, but from a different point of view. Now I'm at the big building in San Diego, one of the big buildings in San Diego.
The police department.
It's actually the federal building. Yeah, the federal building.
no
So,
way.
yeah, so now I'm in the federal building in San Diego. You don't go to the regular San Diego Police Department. You go straight from San Isidro, straight to the, I can't remember the name of the building, but you go straight to the San Diego federal building. And now I'm there. I can't remember what floor I'm in, but I'm on one of the top floors. Locked in there by myself. I'm looking at. I had a pretty good view for being in jail. I can see the ocean. I can see the ocean. My side. I can see the ocean. Okay, I'm looking at the ocean. I'm watching these big old ships coming in. I can see a park down there. Families playing, with their kids down there. I'm like, man. I started reflecting on my life by this time, because by this time I already had gone through a lot of negative things, and I'm sitting there. I'm like, I deserve to be here. I think I start getting some kind of consciousness in my head where I start becoming aware that I need to take responsibility for my actions.
And this is all while you're in custody
While I'm
in
in
San
custody,
Diego.
yeah.
It's all just kind of dawning on you.
Yes. So I'm there by myself in the cells, and I'm like, okay, well, I deserve to be here. And if it isn't for this, it's for all the other things that I've done. I've done bad things that I wasn't supposed to be doing. So this is a combination of everything. So I'm stuck here now.
Who do you call with your phone call? Do you call your boss or do you call your wife?
No, I called my wife.
Okay.
I called my wife. I told her, well, I'm busted. I'm here in the federal building. By that time, she knew already. But she knew already because the people I was working for, they knew I got busted because I didn't walk out where I was supposed to walk out.
Okay.
So they knew.
She knew before
She knew.
you knew.
Yeah. I knew that she knew already.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew that she knew.
Okay.
And she's like, well, I'm gonna try to get you out on bail and see what happens. And sure enough, I think I was in there 9 or 10 days, and she posted bail. They got out, and I was out from October all the way into April or May of the following year.
Until you have to go to court?
During that time I was going to court. I had to take that 6-hour drive to go to court all the way to San Diego.
You're going from here, from the Central Valley
from Central Valley all the way down to San Diego to go to court.
How often are you making that drive? Like once a month?
What was it, man? I think from like October all the way until like April when I got sentenced. I think it was April or May. I can't remember. I think I might have gone. It was either 3 or 4 times because I pled guilty. It wasn't like there was an investigation, and it wasn't like that. It was very simple. It was I get busted. The evidence is on me. I didn't snitch on anybody. I was the only person that got in trouble. There was nobody else there. I didn't snitch on anyone. So it was like, okay, you got it. You have it on you. You're gonna get sentenced. So I pled guilty right away. And if you fight the feds, which I wasn't because it was there. If you fight the feds, I think, if I'm not mistaken, they have a success rate of like 95% success rate. So yeah, if you're gonna fight the feds, you better have money because you're not gonna win with the feds.
Right.
Which I knew I wasn't,
Like, yeah. You and I aren't gonna win against the feds, right?
Yeah. And plus I had it on me, so I mean, what am I gonna fight? Like, it wasn't me, it was my spirit animal.
So are they asking you like the stereotypical questions of like, who do you work for?
Yes.
And you're just like
zip
lip the whole time?
I had to say something, I told them what did I tell them? That I was that I was out partying at one of the bars, because they have many bars out in TJ. It's a if you want to have fun, that's probably one of the best cities to go have fun in, man. People say Vegas is the place, and TJ is the place. But anyways, I told him that I was out in Vegas partying, and that I got approached by a man, and he offered me a few $100s to come back to the States and bring back illegal diet pills. So that's the story.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So behind the scenes, is your father-in-law in contact with you about like, what'd you say? Did they ask you anything? Like, what's going on between you and your father-in-law while you're going through the court system?
No, we didn't keep in touch anymore after that, because after I got in trouble, obviously I couldn't go back anymore. So it's very simple. He got busted. He's back in the States.
He got arrested?
No.
No. Oh, okay.
So after I get arrested, it was very simple. After I get arrested, it was very simple. I get arrested. I can't go back to CJ anymore. I can't go back into Mexico because I'm out on bail. So I'm out here in California now. There was really nothing. I wasn't communicating with him anymore. My wife at the time she was communicating with them, but I wasn't anymore. There was nothing. I couldn't do anything anymore.
Yeah.
You know, well, was somebody upset because I lost a kilo of cocaine? Yes, I bet someone was very upset because I lost a kilo of cocaine.
Right.
They were very upset. But I mean, what can you do? I didn't snitch on anyone. I got busted. That's just what it was, you know.
You're on bail for about 6 months, commuting from the Central Valley down to San Diego for court hearings and everything. It's pretty much cut and dry.
Yeah.
You can't go back, so he can't ask you to do anything.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's it like when you get sentenced and you're going to prison now and everything? Is there an expectation that like when you get out you're gonna return to keep helping him, or like what was the dynamic there?
So
because this isn't just like a guy this is a family member.
Yeah.
Right. So what's that like?
So my plan, okay, let me backtrack a little bit. My plan was to go live in TJ. I was gonna leave everything here. I was gonna go live in TJ and make money. Those were my plans, because he had been living there for a few years already.
I'm sorry. This is your plan before you got arrested,
Yeah.
or okay?
So before I get arrested, my plan was to live there. Okay.
Okay.
So I wanted to live there, not knowing the dangers that were coming after that. You know, there was a lot of dangers that I, as a 21-year-old, was not capable of seeing at the time. You know, it was because TJ was a very dangerous place at the time. You know, and even now it's even more dangerous. But beautiful city, man. I love that city, man. That's a beautiful city. But anyways, my plan was to buy a house over there and live there and keep on working, continue working from there. But my plan, long-wise, after I got busted, I wasn't gonna go back anymore, because by that time my mentality had changed. It got way too dangerous. I'm out on bail. My father-in-law, he gets killed. We get a phone call in the middle of the night. My wife answers, and they're like, your dad's dead. We found him dead. He hadn't been answering his phone all day, and we found him. The authorities found him shot in the head. And I'm like, wow. Like, that's when it really hit me. I'm like, I did not belong over there. That was not my place to be over there. Because more than likely, I probably would have been with them, and who knows what would happen to me. Well, I know what would have happened to me.
Yeah.
I probably would have been there too with him, you know. More likely, that's probably what would have happened to me. My ending would have been there too.
Yeah.
So when that happened, it really hit me. I'm like, whoa. Like, this is real. Like, this is no joke. You know, I'm not sure what happened. I don't care what happened. I don't want to know what happened. But the thing is, he was there. Someone murdered him, and I'm over here getting ready to get put in prison. So by the time I came out, he was gone and everything. My connections were done.
Yeah.
You know, there was nothing, no plans after that. You know, there was no plans because he was gone already.
Do you think him being killed before you end up going to prison, do you think that influenced how you approached going to prison and what you're doing when you get out? Did that have an effect on you going forward, or was it kind of just a non-issue?
At the time, me being so young, yes, it affected me in the way of like, this is real. Like, this isn't how you, well, keep in mind, this is 2001. At the time, there was very little movies that even had anything to do with drug trafficking or anything like that.
Right.
You didn't have these, you know, it wasn't like it is now, where you have these series on Netflix.
The only thing I could think of is Scarface and maybe Carlito's Way.
Yeah, but they weren't. Not even those people. They weren't going into TJ though. They weren't going into Mexico and trafficking drugs. You know what I mean? Whatever they were doing, like let's say Scarface, they were bringing it straight from Colombia, wherever they were bringing it from. So it wasn't. Mexico wasn't put out there like that.
Got you.
For many years, things have been going on. It's no secret. You know, everyone knows. But there was no movies that were showing that. You know, rappers weren't talking about that. You know, it just wasn't a thing yet.
Now it's everywhere.
Now it's everywhere. Now it's not no secret, you know. Now it's everywhere, you know. But yeah, so to answer your question, I didn't have any plans after that. Did it affect me? Yes, but I think I was still too young to really like think it through. It hit me, but at the same time, I was like, kind of whatever. But yeah, it did affect me. Yeah, of course it affected me.
Yeah. Okay.
I get posted out. They post bail for me. I get out of that facility there. I'm out on bail, okay, for about 6 months, okay? Still didn't really learn my lesson as far as, hey, you gotta get your shit together. I wasn't really thinking, okay, we gotta get ourselves together. What I was thinking is, I'm gonna go to jail for a long time, okay? Like, what am I supposed to fix from here to here?
Right.
Like, I don't have anything to fix from here to here. Like, it's just get yourself ready. So I'm partying, you know, doing my thing, just because I knew I was gonna go away.
Yeah.
I didn't know how long.
So you're just enjoying life.
I'm enjoying the
because
last
you
6 months that I have because I know I'm going to go to prison for a while.
Yeah.
So I'm out on bail, okay?
You got 2 kids.
I got two
married?
kids. I'm married,
Okay.
okay? I have 2 kids. I'm married. I'm about to go to prison. The judge ended up giving me, so the way the federal guidelines work, I was at the bottom of the organization, okay? Or they're not an organization, but the way they work. It's called the table of whatever it's called. I was what they call a mule, okay?
Right,
Because it wasn't me. So I ended up getting 24 months for just being a mule. I didn't have any crazy things behind me as far as my record goes. So, as an adult at least.
Right.
So, yeah. So I ended up getting 24 months.
Okay.
Didn't rat anybody out or nothing like that. That's just what my sentence was. 24 months. I ended up having to turn myself in to a federal prison.
Okay.
Because when you're out on bail, that's what you get that
your
option.
own recognizance.
Yeah. So they gave me 24 months in federal custody. I ended up getting dropped off at the facility. That was probably one of the scariest moments in my life, man. By this time, I'm 22 years old.
Still a kid.
Still a kid, you know. Yeah, I had gotten into fights or whatever you want to call it out here, you know. But that never prepared me for what I was about to witness in there, man.
Yeah.
I get into this facility. Now you got these. What was it like? I can't remember how many stories high, but you got this huge facility.
Can I ask where you were at?
I was in Victorville.
Victorville.
I was in Victorville, California.
Okay.
Which it's out in the middle of the desert.
Yeah.
I remember when I pulled up, it was like in April. We pull up to that facility, and surprisingly, there's snow on the mountains there, and then on this side of the mountains, it's just dry.
Victorville's down south?
It's more going towards Las Vegas,
Okay.
towards that area.
Okay, gotcha.
Towards that area.
Okay.
It's Adelanto, Victorville. If I'm not mistaken, it's in the area by San Bernardino.
Okay.
Towards that area, or at least in the county of San Bernardino.
Okay.
So I get to that facility, and you know, they put me in my cell. I have all these people just looking at me, these grown folks looking at me. You know, they're just there like, because I'm the new guy. You know,
Yeah.
I'm the new guy.
And they're young.
And I'm young. You know, so I was scared, man. I was scared.
Yeah.
They put me in my cell. The first 2 cells that I have are 2 Colombian drug traffickers. 2 Colombian drug traffickers, okay? I'm like, okay, well, I'm Abel, and you know, so and so. They're like, okay, your people are over there, and they start explaining to me how the structure, the politics are. That's actually the first time that I got to see racism. That's the first time that I got to see racism. And
At 22 years old, the first time you witness racism is in a federal prison.
In a federal prison. That place was so segregated, and it's not like the staff had it like that. It's the inmates. The inmates have it like that. So when I'm there, all that place is so, you know, okay, blacks here, you know, whatever here, you know, you guys are gonna be there, and I'm like, oh wow, you know, you can't go into their area if you do, you know, so I'm like, oh wow, like this is like straight up racist, man.
Yeah.
Racist, you know. And then you go in there and you see, you know, the older guys, you know, swastikas and, you know, guys from wherever they're from with all their tattoos. I'm like, wow, like what the heck is this? You know, it was a scary place, man. It was a scary place at 22 years old. But you can't show that fear, though. You know, you can't show that you're full.
So you had mentioned being in juvenile hall.
Yeah.
For fighting with your dad.
Yeah.
Before, was there, I think you said you went, there was nothing in between, but did you ever get arrested in your adult life?
No.
For anything before that?
No. It went from juvenile hall straight to the federal system.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So I'm in the federal prison now, and you know, I see all these dudes tatted up, you know, and keep in mind, at that time, tattoos was not a thing out in the street how it is now.
Right,
Now,
right.
now I see people from all walks of life with tattoos. I go. Last time I was in the emergency room, I'm like, there's nurses here
Yeah,
that
full
are sleeved.
sleeves.
I'm like, wow, there's police officers that are sleeved.
Yeah.
You know, people that have professional lives and they're sleeved, you know, or on their necks. I'm like, that wasn't like that when I was a
Right.
youngster. You know, keep in mind, I got my first tattoo when I was like 16 years old.
Yeah.
So I was a very young kid, but it was because of gangs, you know. The only people that got tattoos were people in the military or ex-convicts or just
Right.
street people, you know.
Right.
Those are the only
Yeah.
people that got tattoos. Fast forward to now, everyone has tattoos. I'm like, oh, like we actually, not myself, but like my generation was actually the ones that paved the way for you guys
Yeah.
to make it normal.
Yeah, yeah.
Because even when I got out of prison in 2004, it still wasn't a normal thing. You know, I don't know exactly when that happened, where it was kind of normalized, but when I got out of prison, it was still not a normal thing.
Yeah.
For professional people
Right.
to be having tattoos.
I think that was probably around maybe like 2010.
That's what I'm trying to remember. That around
2010.
2010, 2011-ish, 2012-ish, you know, you started seeing, I don't know where, if people were watching it on the movies or whatever it was, but it started getting a little bit more glamorized and popularized.
Yeah.
Where, you know what, the normal person that has an education, they're allowed to get a tattoo and not get looked down on.
Right.
But like I said, back in my day, it wasn't like that. It was only criminals, people that were in prison, people that were in the military. You know, if there was police officers that had tattoos, it was above the sleeve.
Right,
You know,
right.
because people always been getting tattoos for years, but it wasn't like how it is now. Now it's very vocal. Now it's just out there. You know,
Yeah.
you don't care.
Everyday people have face
Everyday
tattoos
people
now.
have tattoos now, yeah.
And I'm not knocking it. Like the facial tattoos. I asked my wife one time. I was like, because I promised my mom, I'll never get a tattoo on my face, and that's one of the few promises I ever made my mom. But recently, I was asking my wife, like joking around. We were talking about this. I'm like, is the sideburn area considered your face? Like, I was joking around. I was like, because I was thinking like maybe getting something right. And she's like, yes, that's your face. So I have a plan of getting like a throat tattoo. I want to bring it all the way up to my jawline. But yeah, I would never get anything on my face.
In prison, I got to see. Sorry to interrupt you.
No.
In prison, I got to see a really cool tattoo on a guy that he had his throat, the tattoo on his throat, and it was literally the inside of his throat with the.
Oh, that's
yeah.
crazy.
Yes, it looked badass.
It looked good?
It looked good,
Yeah.
man. It looked good.
Yeah.
It looked
So
good.
what's funny about tattoos like slowly becoming more and more socially acceptable is like now, like so it used to be like face tattoos were like a career killer,
Yeah.
right? But it's like I think even face tattoos might, because I know people that have good jobs and they're nice people and they have face tattoos, and it's like I think we're at that tipping point of where it's like depending on the industry you work in,
Yeah.
right? Tradesmen, I feel like tradesmen always kind of have more leniency
Yeah.
in the civilian world
Yeah.
when it comes to tattoos, because it's like, what are you gonna do? Find somebody else to unclog your pipes?
Hospitals, like I said, when I was in the emergency room not too long ago, I seen a lot of nurses in there with sleeves,
Yeah.
sleeves, and on their necks.
Yeah,
And
but
I'm
it's like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
There's a nursing shortage.
yeah,
Like, what are you gonna do? Not like so. Yeah, careers that are in demand and are like always in demand, they get a little bit more leniency. But like the face tattoos, like the day I see a nurse with a face tattoo, that's gonna be. It's like, oh, here it comes, couple more years.
Yeah.
Like, cause I see kids like 18 to 22. I'll see some kids out in the street with a face tattoo, and in my opinion, at that age, you are throwing opportunities away. And so, how a hand tattoo, what a hand tattoo used to mean 20 years ago, is like what a face tattoo is today, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so
Yes.
I am in no place to judge at all.
Yeah.
But when I see like a kid who doesn't even look old enough to buy alcohol, has a tattoo above his eyebrow.
Yeah.
Honestly, what I think inside is like, hey, whatever you do for money, I hope you're good at it.
Yeah.
Because like you're setting yourself on a path, right? And who knows, maybe he might be a very talented musician, and that's good. Or he might. I don't know anything about this kid, but I'm not judging from a position of like you should not have done that. My position is more like, if this is what you're gonna do, like I hope you have some sort of future. And it's not my place to tell you what that future is. But like I said, whatever you do for money, I hope you're good at it.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Because trying to find a new job with a tattoo above your eyebrow might be a little tricky.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's take a break right here.
Yeah.
All right. So, took a water break. You just got to Victorville Federal Prison. Walk us through that a little bit.
So like I was telling you earlier, I walk into my cell and I get these two cellies that are Colombian drug traffickers, and there's three bunks in that particular cell. So obviously they put me all the way to the top. So as we start getting familiarized with each other, obviously we live with each other, so we have to get along.
Yeah.
They started telling me their stories about how they operated in Colombia. Keep in mind this is in 2002. So one of them was from one cartel, the other one was from the opposite cartel. There were enemies out there in Colombia, and they both told me, they're like, do you know that if we were out in the street in Colombia, we'd be fighting with each other, and here we are celled up. I'm like, oh wow. They're like, yep. I won't name the organizations, but they were the biggest organizations in Colombia at the time.
So real quick, what is keeping them cordial with each other? Is it the fact that they don't want extended sentences?
No, what kept them cordial was that, so when you get to prison, if you are, there's different cars, okay? There's different groups of people, and if they fall under what they call the paisa car, then they all have to hang around with each other, okay? They're all part of their group of people. It doesn't matter.
Everything else is
yes.
aside.
Whatever's on the streets, it's set aside.
Oh, okay.
So everything, all those problems that you had out on the streets, it's set aside. I don't think they were part of the Bices because they were from Colombia. They were part of they were on their own. I think they were a different group of people on their own. So anyways, so that's what keeps the people cordial in there.
Okay.
When you do have problems in there, there's a lot of things that cause problems, but yeah, that's one of the main reasons why they kept it cordial.
So they're telling you.
They're telling me their stories.
We're
in there.
cellmates.
Yeah, we're cellmates, and they tell me their stories about how they operated in Colombia and how things happen in there. I'll fast forward a little bit. So then, back in I don't remember when people started glamorizing and making movies about this stuff, but fast forward to now, let's just say Narcos, for example.
Yeah.
I watch Narcos now, and I'm like, wow, everything that my Colombian friends were telling me in there, it's in this TV series here, on the series on Netflix now. I'm like, oh wow, step by step how they would tell me, that's how it was.
Wow.
That's how it was. So anyways, we're in prison now. At some point I get moved over to another prison. I'm in the middle of the desert in Victorville. I get transferred over to Lompoc, California, on the coast.
Yeah.
So everything goes from desert to green.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh wow, it's so beautiful here. And if I remember correctly, we were on one of the freeways down there, and it was nothing but ocean. So I'm like,
101.
101.
Yeah.
So I just came from nothing but desert for I think about a year over there, and now I'm traveling over here to the coast, and it's all green and it's all ocean. I'm like, oh wow. So I get to this facility in Lompoc. Now by this time they put me in a lower facility now because you start working your points down. But the violence was still there though.
Okay.
I remember one of those particular nights. Like I said, everyone is segregated. They have this group of people have their TV room. This group of people have their TV room, et cetera, et cetera. Well, the certain group of people, they had conflict amongst each other. I see one of the guys walking right in front of me with a cup. Okay, he walks with the cup. I don't know what was in the cup. I watch him warm it up. You know, I didn't think anything of it, but I watched it because we had microwaves in there. He warms up that cup of whatever that was, or whatever that liquid was, and he goes back into the TV room, and all you start seeing, and we're outside of the TV room, okay? We're outside of the TV room because you have these headphones that you connect your little radios to, and you can listen to the TVs.
Okay.
Yeah, just kind of like how you used to do it at the drive-in. But,
Yeah.
So anyways, my buddy and myself, we can watch the TV but not go in there. We can watch it from the outside. You got these glass windows that you could watch the TV from and listen to from the outside. So we're watching the TV and listening to it, and we start seeing a scuffle going in there. And the scuffle comes out to the outside of the TV room. Well, the guy that had whatever liquid was in his cup, he threw that liquid on the other individual's face and body. It was hot, whatever it was. I'm thinking it was hot oil. It just burned his face, okay? It just completely burned his face, and just like, oh my God, his back, his arms were all nasty looking.
So it wasn't like coffee. It definitely wasn't.
No, because we had access to oil, like baby oil or stuff like that.
Okay.
So I'm thinking it was something like that they got it hot and they threw it on the guy's face. So now the reason why I'm bringing this up, because now I start seeing there's more violence, and obviously you're in prison, so you're gonna see violence, you know.
Yeah.
So now I see that for the first time. I'm like, oh wow, like this is nuts, man. Like people do this to each other, you know. I don't know what happened to that guy, but that guy was disfigured there. You know, his face will never be the same again.
And this is a lower security
prison, yeah.
Okay.
And stuff like that still happens, you know.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of stuff happened there, you know. Won't get into too much of that details, but I end up getting moved to a camp because now by this time I'm almost getting ready to get released into society again. So they released me into Taft, California.
Okay.
Taft, California is out there by Bakersfield.
Yep.
They at the time they had, I'm not sure if it's still there. So I'm there. I'm sitting in it's called a camp now. This prison has no walls there, no fencing. If you wanted to, you could just
mosey away,
leave if you wanted to.
Wow.
Yeah, but in that facility, there's people in there that had like, I think it was like 6 years and below. I could be mistaken on that, but it was a lower, people that were almost out the door already. Okay.
Yeah.
With lower points. Some people would leave and they would take off and go into the road. I don't know how far that road was. There was some kind of highway that was somewhere around there, and they would go take off, go get cell phones, because cell phones were barely making it into the mix at the time. Go get liquor, whatever they had to bring into the facility and make money off of it. And so, anyways, that was a pretty interesting time there. A pretty interesting time seeing that. Well, one of these days I'm sitting there, just doing time. And who do I see walk into that facility? Tommy Chong. Tommy Chong walks up in there. Yeah. Tommy Chong walks up in there. You know, apparently he had issues with the government too, because they at the time it was illegal to sell bongs through the internet. Okay. And they ended up giving him like 9 months.
9 months. 9 months. Just for selling a bong?
Just for selling bongs through the internet at the time. So obviously this was I think he got his case in 2001, 2002. Okay. So now this is like towards the end of 2003. So he's in this facility. I'm like, whoa, Tommy Chong happens to be here. He was in my cell because he was maybe a few bunks away from me. But we got to see him every day. We got to talk to him. He was a cool guy, man. Yeah. I think now he's like 80-something years old.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So now I get out of prison. Okay. I get out of prison. I'm still involved in gangs and still involved in activities. But by the time I get out, I'm already 24-ish, going to be 25-ish. And now I start seeing like the gangs weren't about fighting anymore. And I like to fight, you know, like fighting was cool. You know, you fought and you got to talk about it the next day, you know. Okay, we got in a fight.
Show your battle scars and
whatnot. Yeah. But now things were getting a little bit more violent. They had escalated, you know, now to where, oh my God, people are losing their lives, you know.
So I'm sorry. Are you coming straight back to Reedley?
Yeah, I'm going straight back to Reedley. Yeah, I'm going back to Reedley. I go back to Reedley. I'm with she's my ex-wife now, and you know we're living together again, and the violence has just increased. Okay. And I'm like, whoa, like I'm not into killing people, man. Like I don't mind fighting people. If we're together at a bar, okay, we gotta fight. Okay, we'll fight, you know. But I'm not. This isn't my thing, you know. Killing people. That's not going into that next step of violence. Is like, no, I'm not about that. Yeah. Still. I was still friends with all my friends. I lost a lot of friends in my 20s. A lot of friends got killed. A lot of people died. Senseless killings, you know. I'm still, when I see my friends that are my age, I'm just like, hey, what's going on? What's up, man? I'm still good, very good friends. But eventually, I think what got me out of that lifestyle was the fact that I started growing up and I started getting a job. Okay, my boss, he ended up giving me the opportunity to work for the company that I still currently work at. I've been there for 19 years already now.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I started working there when I was 26. So I was still I was in that phase of barely getting out of prison. I was still on federal probation. Trying to adult now, trying to be responsible now, because by this time I have my third child, and now I have a family. My family's growing. Let me backtrack a little bit. I go to college because by the time I got out of prison, I realized that it was going to be very difficult for me to get anywhere in life without some kind of education, some kind of trade under me or anything like that.
Right.
So I ended up going to Reedy College, and I enlisted myself into the automotive program that they had there. I did a year of that, and then I did some welding classes for about 6 months, and I took a little bit of college classes, not too many, just to get something under my belt,
Yeah.
And I ended up going towards the welding part of the industry. And like I said, I've been there for 19 years, but someone had to give me the opportunity or see something in me so I can be able to, start getting myself together.
Yeah.
Because keep in mind, I had no structure. Violence was all I saw, and just drugs, and it was no good. I was headed in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
Even into my middle of my 20s. I get this job when I'm 26.
How'd you find this company?
I had a friend that worked in this company, and he would always tell me, he goes, come and apply. I had very little experience, so I didn't think they were going to hire me, and he took the chance on me, and 19 years later, I'm still there.
Yeah.
But so that's what got me out of the gang life, because now by this time, I start getting more involved with work. My hours are long. I don't have time to be out there and
Getting in trouble
anymore.
Yeah.
So my job kept me out of a lot of trouble. My children now, by this time, my kids are a little bit, they're growing up now. They start keeping me busier. They start actually kind of somewhat adulting.
Yeah.
But not really yet, because I was still kind of
Yeah. You're transitioning.
transitioning.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I started hitting 28, 29. I started having a lot of problems, a lot of issues with my ex-wife. A lot of it was because of me being immature, not knowing how to love a woman, not knowing how to take care of a woman, because I was never shown that. Going back to my childhood, right. I've never shown that. So I'm making this transition into trying to adult. And by this time, my ex-wife was like, I'm done with you. We're done. As a couple, we're done. We have our issues. We split up. By this time, I'm already like 31, 32-ish. Okay? Now I'm having to start all over again. From scratch as far as a relationship and as far as trying to find a place. At the time, I was renting a place. And now this is, I'm going into I'm done with the second relationship. I'm like, something's wrong with me. Like, what's going on with me here? Like, I'm the problem, It's not them, it's me. But I still didn't know which direction to go. I didn't have anybody to speak to. I was immature still.
What am I doing wrong?
Yeah, what am I doing wrong?
Right.
You're
doing something wrong.
Yeah, I couldn't see the problem, but it was me.
Yeah.
So anyways, we split up. I get into another relationship, which is with my current spouse.
Okay.
And we have our last child together. Oh, I skipped my daughter. Before we split up with my ex-wife, we had our third child together, which is my daughter Samantha.
Okay.
So I ended up having 3 children with her. I split up right away when my daughter was very young, 2 years old. We split up, and now I'm 32 years old now. Now by this time it really kind of hit me. It really hit me like, okay, you're 32 years old. Like, what are you gonna do with yourself? You have this job that takes care of you, as far as money goes, and these people care about you.
Gave you a chance.
They gave you a chance. Now, what are you going to do here now? So now I'm in the middle of a divorce. I get myself into another relationship. With this beautiful woman that, at the time, she was 25 and I was 32 years old. Okay, but she was mature. She took on my 3 children, my 4 children. She took them on, and 25 years old, she had no kids. She helped me out with my children.
Wow.
She helped me out to raise them. She helped me out with the household. Eventually, by the time I turned 35, we ended up getting a house. We purchased our home.
Okay.
We purchased our home, so that was a big thing. That's the American dream, you know.
Yeah.
Who does not want to purchase a home?
Yeah.
We purchased our home together, and we're living a good little life. You know, she has her job, I got my job, and we're good. We're good. But the Abel that doesn't know how to love correctly is not there yet. I'm not there spiritually. I'm not there emotionally yet. I'm not there as a husband. I'm not there as a person. I was by this time my kids already started getting older. They started already coming. Some of them already getting out of high school already, so started doing their thing. I wasn't there emotionally for my third partner here now. We start growing apart, okay? Because of me.
Okay.
Okay. So by this time we start growing apart, and now that I'm 45, I'm mature enough. It all goes back to my upbringing as a child.
Yeah.
No one ever taught me how to love. My mom loved me or whatever, but it's not the same, you know. So I get into now.
Your mom's also working full time, right?
And she's a working mother. So she's a
That's
working
different.
mother. Yes.
That's different than a mom who's a homemaker,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
Always home,
Exactly.
taking care of dad, taking care of the kids. It's different when your mom can do everything she possibly can, and I think I talked to my mom about this. With the exception of people that have serious problems, I have come to believe that every parent does their best to give their kids a better life than they had.
Yeah.
Okay. But when you have to work full time, right? There's only so much you can do at home if you're not at home, right? So continue.
But on that same note, as far as being a good parent, I wasn't a bad parent. I just wasn't the parent that I should have been for my boys, at least, because they're the ones that didn't get the best of me, because I was still transitioning from that gang life, from being that goes back to me being a young dad. Like, I should have never had children at such a young age. I couldn't even take care of myself, let alone a young kid.
Yeah.
You know, so I didn't take care of them the way I should have been. So I was never the perfect father to them, because I was still out there messing around, I was very immature.
Yeah.
It's not an excuse, it's just what it is, you know?
Yeah.
I don't make up excuses, especially at this age. I can't make up any excuses. So my boys did not get the best of me how they should have. And I regret that. That's something that I will always have to live with for the rest of my life. You know, now they're older, and now it's too late for that now. You know, that hurts me because I should have been there for them the way what my dad didn't do for me, I should have done for them.
Right.
I never left them financially. I was there, but I should have done a lot more.
It takes more than that.
And
Being a
now
dad is more than a paycheck.
I see that now, and it's like, man, I screwed up those years, you know. But what can I do now? I can't do anything. The only thing I can do is, you know what? I'm sorry, son. To all my boys, I apologize to them. You know, like, hey, I was very immature. You know, I was if you see it as an excuse, I'm sorry for that, but that's just the way it is. You know, I was immature. I should have been there for you, but I mentally, I wasn't there yet.
How old were you, if you can remember? So your oldest is 29?
He's 29.
And you're about 45?
I'm 45, yeah.
Okay. How old was your oldest the first time you told him, like, I'm sorry, I wasn't everything you needed?
Well, I told him that. The first time I told him that, I think he was already kind of like 21-ish, 22-ish, and he was still like not understanding. He had a lot of resentment towards me, because he's like, well, you were never really there for me. I'm like, yeah, no, I realized that I wasn't there for you. I realized, but I'm sorry, you know, I can't change that anymore. I can't change that anymore. The only thing I could do is move forward from here and try to change the things that I can change now. I can't change any of that. I'm sorry that I wasn't there for you. And I wasn't the way I should have been. But again, because of my immaturity, I wasn't there yet.
Yeah.
So now, fast forward to my my current spouse. The same problems are still happening, where I'm not that same person that I was when I was in my 20s, but I wasn't mentally developed in the sense of how to love correctly and give her the attention that she needed, and to be able to be there as a spouse. Okay. Right. Listen to her, to be a better listener, and not just be about me. And I had to learn that the hard way. Hey, like, when she comes home from a hard day of work, whatever her day is, like sit there and listen. You know, if she's telling you her problems that she had at work, to me they're probably nothing, and they're like whatever. But you need to sit there and listen and be, understand that her day was hard and she has no one else to talk to but you because you're her spouse. But I wasn't ready for that.
Yeah.
I still wasn't ready for that. Just my mind was.
You weren't equipped.
No.
For that.
I think if I could put it to you, she was here ready and I was still kind of down here where we should have been together and just.
Yeah.
But I wasn't. And so one day she tells me, by this time I was drinking heavily. I was drinking every day and heavily drinking. Like I said, no drugs. I didn't do no drugs. I don't even smoke weed. But drinking heavily. She tells me, you know what? I'm done. I'm done with you. By this time we had our daughter, our last daughter together. We had Tiffany together. Now she's 9, my 9-year-old daughter. She tells me about 5 years ago, she goes, you know what? I don't want to be with you no more. You're just not there. You're not supportive. You're not there for me. You're just not there. And I wasn't. I'm like, yeah, you're right, And I started getting into this very depressive mode where I was like, I didn't know what to do. I was just lost. Like, okay, this is my.
I'm going to lose another one.
I'm going to lose another one. Like, what are you doing, dude? Like, you're already, by this time I was 41, 40. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, get yourself together here. I fall into depression. I wanted to commit suicide. I had no one to speak to. I remember one of the last times that I was by myself, it was on Christmas. I was by myself. They had left. Everyone had left. Nobody was home. I was just drinking by myself in my room. It was Christmas Eve, and it was a sad moment.
Why weren't you with them?
Because we were split up. And
you're separated.
We're separated. She was doing her thing with her family. My kids were with their other mom. So everyone was doing their thing already, and I was just there by myself. I didn't have nowhere to go to. Okay, so I'm there just drinking by myself, just very, very depressed, very sad. Okay, no one to speak to. I'm like, okay. I look back at it and I'm like, yeah, you deserve that. You deserve that. You deserve that. So now this is where the more mature Abel starts taking accountability for my mistakes that I've made. For everything that I've done. I'm like, you deserve that. You needed to do that. You needed to see that. You needed to see that version of yourself to appreciate the things that you've lost, not just this one, but the previous one and everything else, everyone else that you've hurt because of either your alcoholism or your immaturity, whatever it was, but you needed to see all this. So I'm there. How am I going to kill myself? What am I going to do? I'm going to hang myself from the tree that I planted in the back of the house. That was my first thought. I'm going to hang myself and just get out of here. And I was left alone. I was just drinking away, just drinking and drinking and drinking away. With no one to speak to, no one to talk to. I was in my own thoughts, in my own world, thinking the worst. I wanted to commit suicide. That's what I wanted to do. I had a tree in the back, and I'm like, I just kept on looking at that tree. I'm like, I want to hang myself from that tree. Keep in mind, I had no one to speak to. No one to speak to. And yeah, that was where I was at in life.
You had mentioned you planted that tree?
I had planted that tree.
Right after.
That tree was a baby tree.
And this was a house that you and your wife bought, right? This was like your first home?
Yes.
What's the significance of the tree? Why?
The significance of that tree for me, and I still see it not almost every day I look at that tree, because I planted it from when it was a baby. It was a little baby tree. And the way I see it now is like, it's a beautiful tree now. It's a beautiful, green, healthy tree. And I think about that tree all the time now because it's like, I took care of that tree. I nourished it. I take care of it. I prune it. I do everything that tree needs. If I would have done that to my relationship would be a whole lot different than what it is now. So that's the significance of that tree for me. It's just thinking about how long it took for me to take care of it, the effort that I put into it. And if people like myself were to put that same effort that I did in that tree with my relationship, it'd be a whole different story. But I was selfish. I was very blinded by my own needs and my own wants, that I didn't see that the person next to me had her wants, and her wants were just my attention. A little bit of me, a little bit of my attention. She wasn't asking for much. She wasn't asking for diamond rings or anything expensive. Just like, hey, would you like to take a hike with me? Would you like to go take a walk with me? And I was always drinking. I didn't do drugs. Keep in mind, I didn't do drugs. So that was, thank God, that was always the thing for me, that I always tell myself, good thing that I never got into drugs like that. A little bit of weed here and there, but nothing crazy. You can't even call me a pothead. But anyways, which is nothing wrong with people that smoke weed. But anyways, so it was just about me. Never about thinking about other people's feelings. You know what I mean? So that's where my marriage just started falling apart.
So, did something happen to? Because if you're thinking about, I mean, I struggled with suicidal depression myself, and when you're sitting there looking at that tree, what did something obviously happened, or somebody said something happened to stop you from going through with that? Is there something specific? Was it a specific moment where you changed your mind, or was it a series of little somethings that just kept you just far enough away from the edge until you found that help that you needed?
I think there was two things that I always thought about during those dark times, because I think those times were very dark for me. They were very dark, sitting there crying and just thinking about suicide. Like that's an ugly feeling. That I hope that no one has to go through that. Because it's an ugly feeling that even just speaking about it right now, it's just inside my body. It's just like it's ugly. It's an ugly feeling knowing that you're gonna take your life. And I've had friends take their life. I've known people that have taken their lives, and it's like, man, if you just had a little bit more time, if you just had someone to speak to, you wouldn't have done what you did. So to answer your question, my friend Keith, I always remember him telling me when he had issues with his significant other that he would pray, and I would always try to sit there and implement that in my life and sit there and pray and like, please God, guide me, help me with this. I have no one to speak to. Just help me with this, guide me. I would ask him, like, I don't ask you for money, I don't ask you for anything. Just guide me to the direction that I need to go to. Like, help me here with this. And then obviously my youngest daughter, she would come up to me and see me crying, and she'd be like, what's wrong, Dad? She was too young to understand, but just feeling her touch on me, that just gave me that, hey, you need to stop with this. There's different ways, even though you don't have anybody to speak to, but there's still more for you out here. You have this young child, you have your other kids that still need you. And it just, something clicked to me. This is how I started to get out of that depression by myself. I started listening to these monks on YouTube. And the reason why I started listening to them, because I just, in my head, I'm like, how do these monks live so much in peace? At least that's what I think. They're so peaceful. They look very peaceful. They meditate. They go through life. Obviously, they don't have a woman, but they go through life and just live so peacefully. So I started getting into that. I started researching, Buddhist church, and I was just on my own doing my own research. And from there, it led from one thing to another. To start reading books and just start meditating, and then from there, that's where I ended up finding martial arts, jiu-jitsu.
So real quick, if I can step back just a second. Did you talk to Keith during the Christmas time?
Yes, I did talk to Keith.
Okay. You reached out to him?
Yeah, I reached out to him, yeah. I didn't tell him I wanted to commit suicide. That I didn't reach out to him, but he knew I was having problems. He knew I had a lot of problems at the time.
Yeah.
That I had brought onto myself.
Right.
No one brought him on, but I brought him onto myself.
Right.
But now I see that, now I think clearly, and I see, all the damage that I've done, and it's not for anybody to have pity for me. No, heck no. All this I caused on myself. The lack of attention that the people around me that love me, I neglected them. Yeah, I see that. I did that.
So, if you could pinpoint a moment where that switch that you said, that switch clicked, right? You prayed for guidance, right? And then one of the very next things you talked about was I'm going to start crying, was your 3-year-old daughter
Yeah.
talking to you, right? Where can you pinpoint a moment where you started? It might not be just one moment. It might just be the fact that you had a change, like your mindset shifted when you started listening to Buddhist monks talk and you started reading these books and everything. But was there a moment where you started realizing, I did this? Did something happen to make you like take a step back, or would you say it was an accumulation of just feeding your mind positive inputs that made you make that shift?
It was very hard for me to give myself that positive, those positive thoughts, because right as all of that's happening, my marriage is done for.
This is the lowest point, right?
This is the lowest point. I have no marriage. I want to commit suicide. Then right in the middle of all that fire, my dad gets diagnosed with cancer. Okay, he gets cancer of the liver, and it just becomes a huge mess right after that. It's like, man, I'm like, my mind is all over the place. I'm dealing with my dad, having to take him to all these doctor appointments. He had no health insurance, so nobody wanted to help him. Like, it was a huge mess for me in my head. And I'm just like, what am I doing? I had too many things, too many negative things going on in my life where I'm like, where am I going here? So my dad's health was a big thing where I just started seeing things differently, where I'm like, okay, now death is hitting you right at your front door. Now it's your family member here. Now it's your dad. And he doesn't have too much time with him. And I'm like, okay, I need to start making changes. I think I started making these changes without even thinking about it. Just naturally through seeing all these problems that are starting to evolve in my life.
Is this the guidance that you prayed for?
Maybe so,
right?
Maybe so. We started going to these cancer centers for my dad's treatment after, that's another whole story, but after my dad not being able to get help because of the lack of insurance, the mayor of Hanford, he was a very good friend of my dad, and he reaches out to me. He goes, hey, I heard your dad's really sick. I go, yeah, my dad's really sick right now. He goes, he has no health insurance? He goes, no, he has no health insurance. And he goes, I know people that'll help him. And I'm like, do you? And he goes, yeah. So I'm sitting there on a Sunday night. I remember it was raining there at that time. I'm like, just, what do we do here? No one wants to help him. I get a phone call from one of our senators, or one of our state senators, and she calls me. She goes, yeah, I'm the state senator. I don't know if I can say her name or not, but we'll leave her out. But she calls me out. She goes, I know people that'll help you out, your dad. And I'm like, oh wow. And she goes, I want you to call this doctor the next day, which was going to be Monday. Reach out to him first thing in the morning. I'll by the time you reach out to him, I will already have communicated with him. I'm like, okay. The next day, I reach out to the number she gave me. She's like, your dad must be someone important in their lives, because
politicians are making calls.
Yeah, because I got this politician over here calling me in the middle of the night on a Sunday evening that I need to see your dad. So I'm like, okay, well, if you can help, if you have the time, I'd appreciate it. And he ended up getting the help that he needed. You know, I very much appreciated for that. You know, for the senator and for the mayor of Hanford for helping my dad out. You know, but during that time, it was one of those times where I'm like, I got to see the way people treated my dad, because he didn't come from money and he was dying. I got to see the real people. You know, you'd walk in, and I'm not saying that all of them are the same, but the people that I encountered before my dad got the help from these senators, or this senator and this doctor. Keep in mind, this doctor is like up there. He's one of the people that are up there in the medical field around our area. So anyways, I'm like, man, these people, if you don't have money, you're just gonna die. You know, no one cares about you. You know, if you get sick, you're sick, and that's it. You know, the only people who are gonna care about you at this point are the funeral people, because they're gonna get money off of you now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got to see that ugly side of people, man. It was like, wow, people are like this. People are really like this.
Did you remind us what your dad did for work while you were growing up?
So my dad delivered bread for about 35 years, okay? From like 1985 or 86 all the way until when he got sick.
Really?
Yeah, and then when he died, what, 3 years ago, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So and that all happened really quick. You know, he got sick, he got diagnosed, and he started getting sick, and just his health just deteriorated. On top of all that, he lost his hearing. He was messing around with, I don't know what he was doing, I wasn't there, but he ended up puncturing one of his eardrums, and he wasn't taking care of it.
Oh,
He
it
didn't
got
take care.
infected?
It got infected. From there, it led to the other ear. How that happens, I have no idea. I'm not a doctor. But both of his ears, he had zero hearing. He couldn't hear anymore. But by this time, he was what, 65, 64, 65. So he never learned how to, sign language or anything like that. How to communicate with sign language. He was an older man already. He lost his hearing. He lost his hearing.
This is before he got diagnosed with cancer, or
During that time.
Okay.
Right during that time. He couldn't hear. He couldn't work anymore. You know, there was a rough time for my mom and my dad. You know, no insurance. You could imagine how that was. We're having a hard time finding anyone to help him. But like I said, luckily the senator reached out, and we got the help that he needed, and they were able to give him a little bit more life.
How long was it from when he got diagnosed to when he passed?
I think about 2 years.
Wow.
Give or take about 2 years.
Yeah.
I don't remember exact times, but give or take about 2 years.
Yeah.
Which, if they wouldn't have gave him any help, he would have died, maybe a year before all that, because he was, and I don't know what happens or how it happens, but when he got diagnosed, like literally almost a month or 2 months later, his esophagus started closing up on him, and he couldn't swallow anymore. So he started losing a lot of weight, and he was almost dying on us, because of the weight loss. He couldn't eat. He was malnourished.
Yeah.
They ended up sticking a tube in his stomach, fed him through his tube. My mom and my sister, they brought him back to life. They fed him through that tube, and they brought him back. And once they brought him back, they told him, like, hey, we brought you back. You almost died on us. If it wasn't for your daughter and for the doctors that helped you out, you wouldn't have been here. So he got to kind of click in his head where it's like, I'm gonna die. He didn't want to die. He did not want to die. Obviously, who wants to die? I remember him crying. Like, I don't want to die. I don't want to leave you guys. And I was trying to be the strong one. I'm like, hey, I would always tell him, just pray. That's the only thing that's gonna help you. Just pray.
Yeah. My mom got diagnosed with cancer, and I think it was within 5 years that she passed. She passed away in March. I bring that up because, my mom had more time to go through that process of acceptance, and everybody walks their own path and everything, but for your dad had less than half the time. Yeah. From when a doctor says you've got cancer, right, to when he passed, he had significantly less time than my mom had. And so do you think or do you know, did he ever say, like, did he ever come to terms with the fact?
I don't think he ever came to terms with the fact. No, he never came to terms with the fact. He wasn't a very spiritual person. He wasn't a person to go to church. He wasn't a spiritual person. He was just like how I was, very selfish with his time. He neglected my mother. Like I told you, he abused my mother. Once he got to the older years, he wasn't abusing my mom anymore, but he was just about himself. And that was another thing that hit me too during that time. I'm like, hey, you can't end up like your dad. You can't be like that. You can't be a 60-year-old man and neglecting your wife. He would, by this time I was older, obviously. The weekends would come around. He wouldn't take my mother out. He wouldn't take her out on a Sunday to go have an ice cream or dinner. He was always getting drunk. He was always hanging out with his friends, even as a 60-some-year-old man. And I'm like, that's not.
Yeah, that's a young man's game, right?
Yeah, that's something I was doing in my 20s.
20s,
man.
Yeah.
That I was doing that in my 20s. You're a 60-year-old man, and you don't take your wife out for dinner. My mother, like what? Like, of course my mother's gonna fall out of love with you. You know what I mean? And I was starting to turn like that, And I didn't want to be like that. I don't want to be like that. You know, be that person that. Keep in mind, I never drank the way my father did. You know, where I'm drinking 24/7. Not like that, but.
He was like breakfast beers. Or?
So on his days off, he would wake up and start drinking. I'm like, wow. And I don't like, I can't do that.
Thank God, I've never been that bad. Like
No.
I had a drinking problem, but it was never a, crack one open.
And then
that's rough.
And he would go from the morning all the way until the nighttime, and go into the middle of the night. But by this time, you got to keep in mind, he was wasted.
Yeah.
He'd be wasted. The neighbors would bring him back home, and just all drunk and.
Because he's out with the boys.
Yeah. And never gave my mom time, or us.
When these powerful, influential people start offering help for your dad, and going back to you and him getting in fights when you're 14 years old and he's calling the cops on you, okay? These people that, like, I don't have the phone number of a state senator, you know what I mean? When these people are calling you saying they're gonna do what they can to help your dad, what are your feelings at that time?
My feelings at the time, keep in mind, by this time, I'm starting to think differently. I think it was the beginning of me breaking out of that person that I was. It was the beginning, okay? It wasn't about me anymore. It was about getting help from my dad. Even though I knew that my dad was a very negative person towards me, towards my mother, that he was very neglectful towards his family, it wasn't about me anymore. It was about him. So I wasn't selfish with that. Why are you helping him? Like, nothing like that. I'm like, this is a human. I saw him more than just my dad. It was just, I saw him as a human that needed help and no one was there to help him. That's how I saw him. And if I could, I would have done the same for anybody else that was going through similar situations as that, like him, with no help. Doors were getting shut left and right because of lack of insurance, lack of money, obviously. So what was going through my head was, let's help him out. Let's give this man a little bit of better life. Whatever time he has left, let's try to help him out with that.
You know what's interesting was when you said you didn't look at him as your dad, right? Because it's really easy to make that about you, right? If you look at him as your dad, then it turns into how your dad treated you, how your dad treated your mom. It becomes very personal because it's your dad.
Yeah.
So for you to, take a step back and say, this is just a person, this is a human being that needs help. What's crazy about that is that hospital staff, they do the same thing, but they do it, I'm kind of speaking out of, I don't work in the healthcare industry, right? So I'm speaking a little bit out of turn, but it's like, you said, I just looked at him like a human being that needed help. And I feel like the people who are turning him down are looking at him like he's just a person, right? They're using it to disassociate in a bad way.
Oh yeah,
right?
Definitely.
You're using it to not disassociate, but kind of like you're removing the personal aspect from it, but you're not removing the humanity from it, And it's insane how, and maybe, give them a little bit of grace. Maybe that's how they do their job.
Yeah, maybe.
Because, dude, the people who took care of my mom, I can't do that.
One of those hospital visits that we had, keep in mind, we had to take him several times to different hospitals. But one of those times, I won't mention the hospital. It was one of our local hospitals around here. I took him in there. I remember it was like a day or two before, a couple of days before Thanksgiving, and he was feeling really sick, really bad, and I had to take him to the hospital, to emergency room, and I'm sitting there. They take him to the back. They're doing their thing over there. One of the staff members comes up to me. I can't remember what their title is, but she stuck me in a room, and I'm like, whoa. Like, I kind of had a feeling I knew what was going to happen there. And she goes, look, your dad doesn't have very much long to live, okay? He doesn't have very much time. You're going to have to leave him here. And in a few days, basically, this is what they broke it down. In a few days, he will pass away. Or you can take him home, and we'll put him on hospice, and he'll eventually die at home. And I'm like, no, I can't leave my dad here. You know, a million things went through my mind at the time. I'm like, keep in mind, I still held a lot of resentment towards him and a lot of anger. I'm like, would my dad be doing this for me? If it was the other way around, would he be here speaking for me the way I'm speaking for him right here? And I told him, I told myself, I'm like, just stop. Put that aside. Whatever happened in your past with him, just it happened already. So when that lady's telling me this, you can either take him home or leave him here and he'll die here. I'm like, I'm gonna take my dad with me. I'm not gonna leave my dad here. You know, whatever my dad did, he wasn't a very good dad to me, but I'm not gonna leave him here.
And you're not gonna leave him there with the people that told you no.
Exactly.
The whole time, right?
Exactly.
Like, you've already made your, I know how you guys feel about the situation. Why would I leave him here with you?
So I took him home with me. I took him home. I took him to my mom's, not to my, but I took him back to my mom's house, and they brought him back to life. He actually lived about another year and a half after that. So
No
I'm like,
way.
yeah, he lived about another year and a half, give or take. It wasn't like he lived like another 2 weeks or whatever, you know, or a couple months. He lived like another year and a half after that, if not a little bit longer. And I'm like, wow, like you guys were literally probably just gonna let him die
Yep.
right there. Like if I would have said, okay, let's leave him here,
He would have died.
He would have died. You wouldn't have took care of him. My mom and my sister, they brought him back.
So what prompted the trip to the ER?
I can't
Had he
remember.
already been, he was already diagnosed?
Yeah, he was already diagnosed. I can't remember that particular time because, like I said, we were in and out of the hospitals for several different reasons. But that particular time, I can't remember right now at the moment.
Okay.
But I know that was the moment where they put him on hospice, and they said that was it. That just wait for him to die, basically. I'm
Yeah.
like, wow. Like,
And-
wow.
So were your mom and sister, were they doing anything special to help, like, bring him back? Or was it just...
So right when that happened, the senator hadn't reached out. The senator reached out like maybe a few days after that particular. Okay. So
this is in the beginning of
this was in
everything.
the beginning still. Okay.
Okay.
So they brought him back. Oh, I remember now because he couldn't eat. He couldn't swallow.
Okay, that's why we went to
Yeah,
the ER.
that's why we
Okay.
went to the ER. So we brought him back home. They slowly brought him back by giving him, broth and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
yeah,
They
yeah.
kept him alive, basically like that. By giving him, he couldn't eat any meat, anything like that, just by broth. Fast forward maybe like a couple weeks. It was days. It wasn't a long time. Merrick reaches out, and then he starts getting the help that he needs.
Okay.
Eventually, he gets a tube in here, and
Yeah.
they bring him back. But yeah, it was very rough, man. It was very rough. But when I speak about my dad, and I know most of it is negative because that's just what it was. I did love him. He was a man that obviously brought me into this world. With my mother. So I hate speaking about my dad like that. I wish I would have had a different dad. I wish the outcome would have been different. But it's just the way it is. And in order for you to understand everything that I went through, my dad was. It was what it was,
Right.
So I hate to speak negative about him, but it's like I can't make up a story and say, he was the best dad
I don't
in the
think
world,
I sitting here, I don't think you're speaking negatively about your dad. You're just talking about him.
Yeah.
And you know what? And facts are facts, right?
Yeah.
And so, maybe the amount of stories that you have about your dad that are, sunshine and rainbows, maybe, like I said, maybe you only have a handful of those types of stories. But, telling a story objectively, like what happened, that's not negative or positive. That's just telling a story. So
Yes.
don't beat yourself up too bad about that, because I'm not getting that vibe of like you're talking down about your dad. That's not how I feel. I
No.
feel like you're just telling me
And,
about
and,
your
and
dad.
you know, for me to understand where he was at in life with all the neglect that he gave us as a family, then you have to sit there and think about what happened to him.
Exactly.
So I know what happened to him. As an adult, I understand what happened to him. You know, he had a very large family. His family was very large. I can't remember how many brothers and sisters. I have to sit there and count them. But he had a very large family living in Mexico. Obviously, it's different living down there than here. Growing up in the 50s and the 60s, because he was born in 1956. So growing up in the 60s, they, I say give him away. I say they gave him away, but it's not. It's not that they put him in some kind of reform school. Okay, so my
Okay.
brother was a twin. They stuck him in this reform school.
I'm sorry. Your brother or your
My,
father?
no, my dad and his twin.
Your dad and his twin.
Yeah,
Okay.
I guess they were troublemakers, and they couldn't handle. Yeah, and they couldn't handle them.
Your
My
grandparents.
grandparents, they couldn't handle him
Okay.
as a young child. So they stuck him in some kind of reform school, some kind of school where he stayed there the whole week and he would only
Right.
go home on the weekends.
How old
Okay.
is he at this time?
I think he was like from 5 to, I can't remember when he came out. My mom told me this, but he came out when he was like a teen already, from what I understand.
But he was little when
But
he
he was
went
little
in.
when they took him in there, you know.
Both him and his brother, or
Yes,
just him?
both of them. Both
okay.
of them.
Okay.
And so he didn't get that love like how we see getting love from, you know, our moms, you know.
Right.
I'm not sure how the relationship was with your dad, but like how your typical family where they get all this love, my dad didn't get that either.
Yeah, 'cause he's at school.
Because he's at this school where
Yeah.
he doesn't interact with his mother. So, and you need that interaction with your mother and your daughters, your mother and your father. You know, you
Yeah.
need that interaction. You need that love. You know, whatever it is, that chemical that you get, that's what you need from your parents.
Yeah.
And he didn't get that. So I'm sure that as he became a teenager, he didn't know how to love. He didn't know how to be loved because no one ever loved him. No one ever cared about him. So you got to go back and understand his past so you could understand why the things he did as an adult.
Yeah.
He didn't have that education. He didn't have that knowledge of, I got to give, like going back to the tree, you know, I planted that tree as a baby and I took care of that tree. I actually love that tree, man. I love seeing it. I go touch the branches. I'm like, it's a beautiful tree, you know?
Yeah.
My dad didn't do any of that. You know, he was so caught up with drinking and just working. He was a workaholic. You know, he'd work, he drank, he was with his friends, but he neglected all the important things in life.
Yeah. So you said it got to the point where he couldn't talk, or
couldn't
he just
hear.
couldn't hear?
He couldn't hear.
Okay, but he could still talk to you.
He could still talk to me. Yeah,
Okay.
he could still talk to me. Whatever he wanted to communicate, he could communicate it to me. He just couldn't hear. I had to write everything down.
Okay.
I had to write everything down.
During those last 2 years, while you're helping take him to his hospital visits, and you know, the tables have turned right now. It happens to all of us. I think that there comes a point in time where the kids have to help take care of the
Yeah.
parents.
Yeah.
During that time, what were the interactions like with your dad in those last maybe year, 2 years?
The interactions were positive. They were very positive interactions. Like I said, I every day that I would go visit him, I try to make him positive, not bring anything negative, not try to bring up the past. But almost towards the end, like almost a month before he passed away, I told myself, like, you need to let your dad know that you forgive him. And I'm telling myself that I need to be able to let him know that before he dies, that I forgave him for everything that he did to me. So I sat there and wrote a long letter so he could read it. And I basically told him, look, Dad, I forgive you for everything that you caused me, all the pain that you caused me, all the neglect. You never paid attention to me. You never, you neglected my family. You neglected me. You hit me. You know, I forgive you. And he read it, he looked at it, and just nodded his head. You know, he never said sorry, nothing like that. I don't know why I don't know. He just never said anything. He read it and just nodded his head and looked at me, and that was it, you know. But when I gave him that and I forgave him, I thought about myself and everything that I had done in my life, all the negativity that I had brought on to others that were close to me, that loved me, that cared for me. And I'm like, in my head, I always think about death because I've had so much death in my life lately. I'm like, when it's my turn to die, or before I die, hopefully the people around me that I've hurt can forgive me the way I forgave my dad, you know? Because at the end, that's what I want. I want to be able to go and know that the people that I hurt, because I hurt a lot of people, that they have it in their hearts to actually forgive me and say, you know what? Yeah, you did hurt me, but I forgive you. I forgive you. Because it was a very good feeling. It was a feeling in my heart, in my body, that being able to tell my dad, I forgive you. It was a good feeling.
Yeah.
It was a very good feeling to get that out of my system.
So when he didn't say anything after reading the letter, when he didn't say, I'm sorry, did you feel that in any kind of way?
I did.
Yeah.
You know, to this day, I still feel kind of hurt.
Yeah.
Like, were you even sorry? You know, like, anything? Do you have any feeling? I mean, you're a month to the grave and like you never said sorry. But I mean, if he wasn't sorry, I can't force it out of him.
Right.
You know, I mean, I don't know. I'm sure he loved me. You know, I'm sure I hope he felt bad for everything he did in his life. But yeah, I'm still a little bit hurt. You know, but what can I do? You know, I couldn't force it out of him. You know, I can't. What can I do?
Yeah.
Did I feel bad? Yeah, I do. I still feel bad. You know, I never got a sorry.
Yeah.
But
so, in order to not have to have this conversation with your kids on your deathbed, right? God willing, have you tried to be preemptive with talking to your kids? Like, has it been like, you know what, I don't want my kids to have that kind of an experience with me, right? I don't want them to have to sit at my deathbed and read me a letter they wrote, you know? Have you taken steps to kind of bridge those relationships back together? Or not bridge them back together, but start the healing process, right? Why wait until we're dying
exactly.
to say I'm sorry?
Exactly.
Right? Why wait until somebody's dying to forgive them?
Yeah.
You know. So have you? What's that look like for you?
I'm working on it. I'm working on myself. I'm working on that. Yes, I'm working on that. At this point in their lives, in my lives, they have a lot of things going on with their own families now. So it's not like I can grab them like when my younger daughter and like, hey,
right,
let's
put her on your lap.
Yes,
Talk,
and
yeah.
yes. It's harder to do it now as adults. So you have to do it in small steps and
little doses, right?
Doses when you get those opportunities. You know, just like I said before, these kids grow up so quick, and if you don't take advantage of that time that you have with them, that time's gonna slip away. You know, it's gonna slip away, and you're never gonna get that time again. That time is gonna be gone. It will never. I don't care how much money you have. You can have the best job in the world, but time, you can never buy time. That's one thing that you're never, ever, ever gonna buy. And I have seen that myself with my own experiences, my own kids. Do I still have time? Hopefully I still have time. Hopefully they still have a lot of time. Yes, I still have time to, you know, mend some of these relationships that I've broken. But to be able to go back, like you said, to be able to fix those things the way I want to, I can't anymore because they're doing their own thing now.
Right.
So it's just like you said, it has to be done in small doses, a little bit at a time here and there. And hopefully they understand that I'm trying and that I'm not that same person that I was before. This version of me right here is a different version than what they got. It's just like I told you earlier, this version of Abel is not the same version of Abel when I was in my 30s or when I was 41 or when I was in my 20s. Whatever negativity I brought onto someone in my 20s, they're still going to hold on to that grudge against me because that's all they knew. They knew that version of me that for whatever reason we were upset at each other, whether it was a friend or an enemy or an ex. Like, that's all they have in their mind is that version of Abel. that 25-year-old Abel that caused whatever negativity he brought into my life, that's it. They never got the opportunity, or gave me, or I gave them the opportunity to see this version of me, which is a more positive version of myself.
What are your kids' attitudes when? Because I'm sure you don't just like text them out of the blue. Hey, I'm sorry for the shit I did when I was a dad. Sorry. I'm sorry for what I did while I was a dad. Or you're still their dad. What am I trying to say? I'm sorry for the way I raised you, or I'm sorry for the type of father I was when you were growing up. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. You don't just text that, right? It has to kind of come up organically, right? Because it's more sincere. I feel like you saying it out of the blue can be completely sincere, but it might not be received as sincerely, is what I'm trying to say. Finally got that out. So when these conversations come up with your kids, what's their attitude? Is it cold shoulder, like I don't want to talk about that, or do they hear you out? Like what is that?
It depends on which one you're speaking to.
Okay.
A couple of them understand. One of them is more still on that how I was at the time, where I don't want to hear it.
I'm guessing it's your oldest.
Actually, my oldest, he was just texting. We were just texting each other earlier in the day, and it took him a while though to understand, like, hey, these were the reasons why I couldn't be there with you as much as I wanted to, you know, like, and then he understands now. He understands the reasons why, but now he's 29 years old, so he understands. He's a grown man now.
Yeah.
So now he's like, okay, all right, but it took him a long time. He hated me for a long time. Until now, where our relationship is not where I want it to be, but it's way better than it was before.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, I was just communicating with him earlier. I wish that we had more time to spend with each other, but going back to what I said, it just can't happen anymore because all these years went by. They're grown people. They have their families. They have their obligations to attend to. So it's not like my daughter Tiffany, where, okay, Tiff,
she's home when you get home.
She's home when I get home. You know, so it's differently now.
Right. Do all of your kids still talk to you though?
They still talk to me. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
They still talk to me. Yeah.
Okay.
We still communicate. Yeah.
Just everybody's in different variations of forgiveness and redemption.
Yeah.
Let's take a break for a second. All right. So you had mentioned that you grew up Catholic, right? But not practicing.
Not practicing.
Okay. And on your journey to becoming a better person, right? Less selfish, more positive mindset and everything, you found some Buddhist monks.
Power outage.
Dang. Power went out, but we don't need lights. We're good.
We're still rolling.
All right. There, and see?
There you go.
Just like that. So finding, did you know anything about Buddhism before this moment where you started to like make a change?
I knew zero about Buddhism.
Okay. So now that you're aware of what Buddhism is, but you weren't raised that way, do you go to any kind of church or any kind of temple or anything these days?
I don't, and I just want to clarify that I'm not an expert in Buddhism. You know, I'm
okay.
I did my own homework in my own way, so I'm not an expert in Buddhism or Catholic religion. But so this is where it started for me, where my thoughts are going to be different than everyone else's thoughts. I do believe in God. I believe that someone way bigger than us is out there. You know, there is a creator. Someone created us. We didn't just pop out of the blue. But when I started digging into the Buddhist religion, I started thinking about, okay, if Christianity, and this is where it's probably going to get, people are probably going to be like, this weirdo. But okay, if Christianity says that you have to be a Christian to go to heaven when you die, so what happens with these Buddhists? Or what happens with keep in mind I do a lot of research.
Yeah.
What happened to the days where the Aztecs and the Mayans they had no church, okay? They believed in the sun god, they believed in, the water. So what happens with all these people? Does this mean that these people are just gonna go to hell, or their souls are gonna go where? Because Christianity says that this is the way, that this is the only way that we're gonna go to heaven through Christianity. So all these people are wrong? The Hindus, what happens with these people?
Sure.
So that's where my mind started going and doing all this research on different religions, not just Buddhism, but different religions. I started doing more research on my religion, the Catholic religion. So before we actually had the Catholic Church, who was it? Constantine? He had a vision of the cross, and he decides to make the Catholic, Christianity, the official practice of the Romans. So I'm like, that the only reason why we're here as a religion is because of one man saying that it's legal now. This is the way we're all gonna follow now because of one man's ideas. So I'm like, this can't be. This isn't the way. It's not. No certain religion is the way. Just last week I was doing this research on the Book of Enoch, and I don't know if you're familiar with with Enoch.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, when these people were around, Enoch was only the 7th generation after Adam. He was the 7th generation after Adam. When they spoke about the Word of God, it was just the Word of God. It wasn't from my understanding, it wasn't no particular Catholic, Buddhism, whatever other religion you want to bring up. It was just the Word of God, and that was it. There wasn't anything else. The Word of God, and those stories got brought on from one generation to another, to another, to another, until the big flood came around, and whatever it did after that. So those are my feelings on religion. That I don't believe in one particular religion because everybody thinks that they're right, and everybody tells you, come to my church, come to my church. But why? You just made an interpretation of the Bible, how you understood it, and now you started your own religion. So it just gets too confusing for me, and
Sure.
It's like, no. So what I do, to answer you, I believe in God. I believe in being a good human. I believe in walking through this earth as a good person, as being appreciative like I am when the sun comes out and there's no clouds every morning, and I look at the sun. I'm like, I don't pray to no sun, but I'm like, hey, good morning, sun. When the moon is out there and available, I'm like, hey, this is a beautiful moon. Thank you for letting me see you again. The stars. I'm a big believer of being appreciative of all these natural things that we have around us. I do pray every day. I say thank you, God, for letting me live another day. But there's just not one particular church that I believe in, because how are all these churches going to be the right ones? You know what I mean?
Right.
It's just
I know exactly what you mean.
So
Yeah.
that's where I'm at as far as religion. I respect everybody's points of views. Everybody has their thing, and some people are deeper than others into their beliefs, and even if they're wrong, they're still deep into that belief, and that's okay. As long as you don't bother me, I don't bother you, and that's just it.
Okay.
So that's the reason why I don't go to any particular
Sure.
church.
Yeah. So you pray. Would you say you pray every day?
I try to pray every day when I wake up. I say a small prayer. God, thank you for letting me live another day. Take care of my family, take care of my kids. I pray before I have my meals. Thank you, God, for being able to provide this and for keeping me healthy to be able to provide for myself and for my family. Those are the things that I say to myself.
Does your wife go to church?
She does not go to church. She's a very spiritual person. She believes in God. She does not go to church. So.
Okay. And then you said, again, going back to when you were younger, the family didn't go to church. Your parents didn't pack up the car and everybody go to church.
No.
Okay. So where are we at timeline-wise with, help me line everything up, okay, before we go forward. You and your wife are separated. Your dad passes away, and you start doing jiu-jitsu. Okay, where do all three of those things line up? Were you and your wife separated prior to your dad passing away?
Yes.
Were you separated prior to him being sick?
Yes.
Okay, so you're going through that struggle alone.
I'm going through my separation. My dad gets diagnosed with cancer. I start finding jiu-jitsu
Okay.
shortly after my dad gets diagnosed.
Okay.
I start getting into martial arts. And so that's the way it is.
Okay.
Separation, my dad gets sick, and I find martial arts.
Okay. So how did you, Reedley's a small town, right?
It's
Small
small,
city. So how did you hear about jiu-jitsu?
Well, I've heard about jiu-jitsu a long time ago, back when I was like 13 years old. I
Okay.
had a cousin that was older than me. He was probably 24, 25, and he was into martial arts at the time. At the time, the only thing that was available martial arts-wise was these magazines. I can't remember. Black Belt.
yeah.
There was these magazines. There was probably a couple other ones that I don't remember off the top of my head right now, but this was back in the early 90s.
Yeah.
And I'd go into his room, and he had all this martial arts stuff, and punching bags and stuff like that. And he was into martial arts.
Yeah.
But he never practiced it like how we're trained, the way we train, because at the time, there was no jiu-jitsu gyms. There was only
Right.
karate, kempo, or whatever else was boxing maybe at the time, but there wasn't no jiu-jitsu at the time. But somehow he got a hold of one of the VHS videotapes from the Gracies fighting at the
UFC.
At the UFC.
The original UFC.
Yeah, so I remember that. He popped it in there, and I remember him telling me about the Gracies and their jiu-jitsu. But at the time, I would watch it, and I remember seeing it. It was very violent, but I don't. But after that, like, it just wasn't around in our area.
Right.
Unless you were renting these VHS videos, you didn't get a hold of that. There was no jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu in my town didn't come around until like 4 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you're growing up, did you ever take boxing or karate or anything like that?
I took a little bit of just a very little. And when I say little, maybe like about a month of
Okay.
karate kempo.
Okay.
That's the only thing that I took. I did one, like I said, maybe 1 month of kempo karate, and that was when I was like in junior high.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was basically it. Which that didn't give me anything.
Right. So how does jiu-jitsu pop up in Reedley? How do you become aware that it's there?
It just popped up on my Instagram feed one day.
Okay.
They popped up on my Instagram feed, and by that time, like I said, I was starting to think different. I was starting to heal, starting to appreciate myself more, and it just popped on there. And I'm like, you know what? I want to put my daughter in there. I want to do something with her too, and so that's how I came across jiu-jitsu through Instagram. So we go and we enroll my daughter in there. And I'd be there, just watching on the sidelines like the parents do here probably.
Yeah.
I'd be right there watching, and the guys would come up to me, hey, you should start doing it, you should start doing it. I'm like, okay, a month goes by and I start doing it. But by that time I was thinking differently already, I was starting to grow as a person, develop into this new version of me that eventually who I am now. I wasn't thinking about suicide anymore. I even told Andrew, my coach Andrew, I told him, one day I was probably, I don't know, maybe 5-6 months deep into jiu-jitsu already. By that time, I had already lost tons of weight, because when I went in there, I was 216 pounds. So I was a big boy. I started changing my diet. I started changing the way I was thinking. I wasn't suicidal anymore. And I told Andrew, Andrew, look, thank you for helping me out right here, man. This is literally, without sounding too cliche, it literally saved my life, man. I know people say that all the time, but for me, it did. Going through the BS that I was going through, it helped me out a lot. He says, yeah, no, man, just, appreciate it, man.
When you started training, were you still drinking? Or had you already started to give that up?
I had cut down on the drinking.
Okay.
I had cut down on the drinking. I wasn't drinking as much as I was before. I had cut down. And I think that's what helped me to lose a lot of the weight
Yeah, for
that
sure.
I had cut down on the drinking. So I had cut down. I wouldn't say that I 100% stay sober. You know,
Okay.
I think I was drinking like on the weekends only or whatever it was. You know,
So you say you weighed 216 pounds when you started training. How tall are you?
5'9".
Because 216 is like a goal for me to get down to.
Yeah,
you
no,
know?
I was 5'9".
Okay.
I had a huge belly. I was just swollen from all the alcohol that I would consume all
Yeah.
the time. It was no good for me.
Inflammation,
Inflammation,
right?
yeah.
Joints hurt.
Yes.
All that.
Yes,
all
I was
that.
out of shape. I was out of shape by the time I started training jiu-jitsu.
What was your first day like? First day of jiu-jitsu. You got the crisp, brand new gi, new belt. What's it
I
feel
didn't know
like?
how to tie my belt.
Or was your first day? Did you even have a gi your first day?
I had a
or
gi.
did
I
you
had a
do?
gi.
Okay.
No, I had a gi. I had a gi my first day because I had a gi. I had my belt and everything.
All right.
But my first day, it was horrible. I got beat up by a 13-year-old girl. A 13-year-old girl. I think she was what was she at the time? Like an orange belt, I think, or yeah, or whatever she was at the time. Is it orange? I can't remember what
Yeah.
it was, but whatever it was a kid's belt still.
Wow.
And yeah, I got beat up by a 13-year-old girl at the time. She might have been 12 at the time.
So how long have you been training now?
So now I'm going on to 3 years, man.
Okay.
Here in a couple months, it's gonna be 3 years now.
Okay, so
Yeah.
3 years.
3 years.
What do you weigh now?
174, 175.
All right, so
The lowest I've gone is 169.
40 something pounds, 45 pounds or so.
Yeah, 40. I've gone down 49 pounds, but I've seen that going down to the 160s is a little bit too light.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, I gotta get a little bit of weight.
Okay. So what starts? You already started making personal changes
Yeah.
when you started doing jiu-jitsu. So like, for me, jiu-jitsu was the first thing I started doing, and then I realized like it was a domino effect with jiu-jitsu showed me like all the things I was doing wrong. Maybe not all. Well, yeah, some of them took a while to pop up, but since training jiu-jitsu, I have realized like where the wrong turns, the wrong decisions I've made. And so it's cool, like you had already realized I need to start making changes in my life. So you start doing jiu-jitsu. You're working on yourself
Mentally,
spiritually,
spiritually,
physically. Okay. So where's your wife at? Your dad's passed. You're doing jiu-jitsu now. You're making healthy changes. Where's your wife at while you're doing all this?
She's still on during this time, I believe, and I don't want to speak for her, but I think she was still on that mindset where she hated me, but she started seeing these changes in me, okay, these positive changes in me, where she gradually started seeing all these positive changes towards me. She would tell me, she goes, hey, you're losing weight and you're starting to make these changes, like, I'm proud of you. Because she would always tell me, she's like I said, she's a very spiritual person. She'd tell me, look, the mind, the soul, everything has to align for it to work. Everything has to align for it to work. And I'm like, it didn't make sense to me at the time until I got into jiu-jitsu. I'm like, oh, yeah, like now I see what she was trying to tell me. Before I thought it was just some BS. I'm like, no, everything needs to be in order and in line for this to move forward and towards a positive direction.
Yeah.
But like I said at the time, I thought it was nothing but BS. When she would tell me about the spiritual stuff, I'm like, it's all BS, you know?
So when you're trying to win your wife back, right? Like that,
Yeah.
that's where we're at,
Yeah.
right? What is, and you know, clearly you guys still talk.
Oh yeah,
Your
have
daughter
very
lives
good-
with you,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, we have very good. We communicate. It's not like we hate each other now. You know, she actually she trains jiu-jitsu with us as well.
Okay.
You know, she's a blue belt now. She eventually, like I said, she got into martial arts herself. She's been doing it now for, I don't know, 2 years, whatever it's been.
Okay. Almost as long as you
Yeah,
have.
almost as long. Yeah. She started a few months after my daughter and myself did, but when she started that relationship, so keep in mind, she didn't want to be around me. She hated me. She just, because of everything I caused.
Right.
We start martial arts together. She starts opening up to me again.
Okay.
because she sees a new me, a new understanding. And when I say all this, there's still a lot more growth in me. Like, I still have to learn how to be more of a listener, how to be able to listen and be able to help out, not just sit there and listen, but be able to communicate whatever feelings I have inside and communicate them correctly to where, okay, I'm listening and I'm understanding and I'm trying to help you out with whatever issue you're having with that, whatever issue you had throughout your day. I want to be able to help you, not just it's about me, it's about me, it's about me.
Right.
So once you started seeing all that, it started going towards a more positive direction.
Okay. So, are you still currently separated?
Oh, we're still separate, yeah.
Okay.
It's been going on 4 or 5 years now. Yeah.
Is there an intention to heal that and, start like being a family in one house again?
For myself, this is the way I see it. Since it's been such a long time now, it's been 4 or 5 years now that we've been separated. For myself now, it's more of a, okay, we need to fix, this is me speaking to myself. You need to continue fixing yourself and become a better person. You need to finish healing inside of you before you can get into this relationship again. If it ever becomes a thing again, you need to be able to go into this relationship fresh and with a healthy mind, and not throw any not bring up any negative things from the past. Look, we're gonna move forward from here. Whatever happened in our past happened. This is a new version of Abel. You're not getting the old version of Abel. You're getting this new version of me, and hopefully we can make this happen. So, I mean, I'm not gonna leave it off the table. To answer your question, I'm not gonna leave it off the table, but I am continuously working on myself to be a better version than what I am today.
So, your main priority is becoming better.
I think you have to. This is just me. I think you have to love yourself, and I think you need to be able to understand yourself before you can understand others, before you could actually, if you don't love yourself, how are you going to love someone else?
Right.
You got to be able to have that self-love, and I think that's where I'm at, where you have to be able to, especially at 45, there's no excuses anymore at this age. There is no excuses.
Some people like
age.
to make some people like to try to make excuses.
Oh, I know
right?
there is. There is. There's people.
But it's pathetic.
Yes.
It can be pathetic.
Oh,
when
yeah,
when you see
definitely.
somebody our age
Definitely.
blaming their parents.
Definitely.
It's like, bro.
See, that's why I go back to.
Grow up.
That's why I say I go back to my dad. I can only blame the attitude and my actions for so long before I have to take responsibility of the mistakes that I've made. I can only blame him for so much. After that, it's like, okay, now you got to be responsible for whatever negativity you brought onto yourself. You can't sit there and blame. I can't sit there and blame my dad the rest of my life for everything negative that happens to me. Like, that's not gonna happen. I gotta be responsible for that. So now, as a 45-year-old man, I take full responsibility for my actions, for all my mistakes, for every single thing that I've done. Hey, I brought this onto myself.
That's
My
good.
dad, he only came so far.
Right. But at some point, you have to take the wheel, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm in the driver's seat, right?
Yeah, I'm in the driver's seat. I'm
Right.
gonna be the one driving myself to this positivity.
Right.
That's why now I'm at a point in my life where I try to surround. I'm appreciative of everyone that's came into my life. Everyone that's came into my life, whether it was a negative person, a positive person, someone in between. You all made me. All these journeys that I've been through, they all made me into the person that I am today.
Yeah.
Okay, if I wouldn't have gone through this negative stuff, you would have had a different version of me. So that negative stuff had to happen to me to get to this point in my life. So I'm appreciative of every single person that has came into my life. I learned from each and every one of these people.
Right.
So, but now that I'm at this age, I try to surround myself with nothing but positive people. Because if I start bringing negative people into my life, I feel like it's going to drag me into that
Right.
negativity. Not that I want to put anyone down, but it's just I've came so far in my life as far as being positive. And I'm not talking about money or nothing like that. Nothing like that. Just spiritually, I've came so far that I don't want to go back to anything negative,
Right. Do you like cats? I know you have you had 2 dogs, right?
Yeah.
But old boy passed away.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that. But Do you like cats?
I have one cat.
Okay.
It's my daughter's cat, and yes, I like the cat.
So I heard something not too long ago, probably within the past year or so, and it's stuck with me. I love it. Cats. This is a quote. I can't remember where I heard it. Can't remember if I read it, heard somebody else say it. I can't remember, but it's so true. Cats teach us how to love unconditionally. And dogs teach us how to be loved unconditionally. And I feel like it's that there's like a little yin and yang there, right?
You know, staying along that right there, we have very little time on this earth. This time goes by so quick. We have very little time on this earth. This is how I see it, my perspective of life. We have very little time on this earth. I'm already at the middle of my life, okay? We are at the middle of our life. You know, of course, 200 years from now, no one's ever gonna remember me. But 200 years from now, it doesn't matter. What matters is the time that I have here, right now. And that's why I wanna try to fix the relationships that I've damaged, because this is the time. Not 200 years from now, not 50 years from now when I'm dead. This is the time that I need to fix. I'm giving up, I'm here on this earth. Obviously, God still wants me here. I need to fix the now. Whatever time I have left, I want it to be a good time. I don't want it having enemies, having people hate me, even though I'm never gonna be able to go back to fix whoever I messed up when I was 25. That's not gonna happen anymore. But the now is what I want to fix, and whatever time I have left, and be a good person in this life. You know, not be that negative person that I was always that I used to be.
Yeah.
Neglect, and just all that negativity that came with that.
Yeah. So, if this is too personal, we can cut it out. But are you and your wife legally divorced?
No.
Okay. Why not?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know.
So, do you think? I think if you didn't care about her, you probably wouldn't be making all of these changes, because it was, from what I'm gathering, it was your feelings towards her that made you realize maybe I'm the problem.
Not just towards her, towards my daughters and my sons, you know, and my immediate family. You know, she was one of the main people, but it was just generally the people around me that I needed to make these changes. Of course, my daughters, you know, I wanted them to have the day I'm gone. I know I want them to be, and my sons as well. I want them to be able to say, hey, yeah, my dad was, you know, whatever he was, but towards, and hopefully it's not the end of me, you know, I'm not jinxing myself, but the later part of his life is probably better worded. He was a positive person. He was a better person than what he was in his earlier years.
Yeah.
So at the end of my life, that's what I want my kids to remember me as, a good person, you know, which I believe I am a good person, you know. Just like I told you earlier, I think sometimes you see people, or I see people, and you, as soon as you see them, you get that they have that good aura, that good vibe right away.
Right.
And I don't think I'm one of those people. I think you have to get to know me, and to really talk to me to see, okay, this person isn't what he looks like, you know? Because I can have that mean face. I know I probably have that mean face, but that's just the face that I have. Some people call it what do they call it? The bitch face?
Yeah. Resting bitch face.
Resting bitch face.
Yeah.
And I probably have that resting bitch face, but I'm not like that, you know? I'm trying to be a positive person, and that's where jiu-jitsu comes, you know, helping the little kids, helping my coach the little kids, like seeing them at the store. Hey, coach, like it feels good to be able to see these little kids and they see you as a positive influence, you know?
Yeah.
I like that feeling. I like the feeling of having the positive influence in people's lives.
We have the luxury. I tell these guys at jiu-jitsu that are like in their early 20s, it's like, man, you've got all the strength, all the stamina, none of the wisdom.
Yeah,
And it's like, and then this dude that was there with me at the time we were having this talk, I'm like, and wisdom is like all I have right now. Like, I'm overweight. I'm losing weight, but I gained a lot of weight just living unhealthy lifestyle. So, I don't have the stamina. I don't have the strength. I'm fat and out of shape and still trying to get my drinking under control, but I have the wisdom. I got 20 years on this kid, right? It's the whole, like, I don't know if your dad ever said it to me, or your dad definitely never said it to me.
No, I understood. I understood. What
I
you
don't
were
know
trying
if
to
your
say.
dad ever said it to you, but, let me make the mistakes. And then you learn by watching dad, right? Learn from my mistakes so you don't do them yourself, right?
My father never gave me a piece of positive advice.
All right.
It's hard
See?
to say that, but he didn't.
So we have to learn the hard way, right? And we gotta get in fights, and we gotta get arrested, and we gotta, all the stupid stuff that we do in our 20s, right? Because for various reasons, right? But 45 years old now, you're 4 or 5 years into making healthy changes in your life. If 4-year-old Abel walked in right now and you had 10 minutes to talk to him, what would you tell 4-year-old Abel?
It's funny that you brought that up because, and I don't remember the name of this. I was trying to remember it, but sometime last year, about 2 years ago, we got invited over to I call it a ceremony, but we got invited to this huge ceremony where there was several people there, maybe, I don't know, 20, 25 people, big, huge garage. And they had these bowls, different sizes, and you would bang, well, not us, but the people that were doing I call it a performance, but the ritual, whatever you want to call it.
The sound healing.
The sound healing.
Yeah.
Okay, it was sound healing. You'd close your eyes, you'd meditate, and they would do the sound healing. There's a name for it, I just can't remember the name of it. And like I said, it's about 20, 25 people, maybe more. But you'd lay down on a piece of carpet, and that would eventually help you heal. Not just that session, but there was different sessions that you would have to go through to help you go through the healing process of whatever it is that you're going through in your life. So anyways, and those are the kind of things that someone else, and those things have been people have been practicing that for many, many years.
Right.
Many, many years. But you put that out there to the world and people are like, that's some weird stuff. But no, people have been doing this around the world for many, many years. I just can't remember the name of it. But that question got asked by the person that was doing this, by the guy that was leading the group. And he goes, can you guys close your eyes and picture yourself speaking to, I think he said the 7-year-old, 5-year-old, 7-year-old, the same age group. And if you had a few minutes to speak to that version of you again, what would you tell that version of you? What piece of advice, or what would you tell them? And what I would say, what 45-year-old Abel would say to 5-year-old Abel, that it's going to be rough. You're going to go through a lot of rough times. You're going to hurt. You're going to cry. You're going to have a very, very rough mental life. But it's going to help you. It's going to help you to make you a stronger person mentally. You're going to find a stronger version of you. It's going to take maybe 40 years, but you're going to be stronger mentally. By the time you're my age, you will be a strong mental and healthy person mentally. It sucks that you're going to have to hurt. It sucks that you're going to be going through all that pain. You're going to feel neglected. As a 5-year-old, you're going to see the violence brought on by your dad. It sucks, and it's going to screw you up very, very much. It's going to screw you up mentally, and I'm sorry that you have to see this as a 5-year-old, but you have to go through it so you can become a better version of yourself in your later years. I'm sorry that it's going to take you 40 years, but that's just the way the destiny was meant to be for you. 40 years, it sounds like a long time. It is a long time, but you're going to have to go through it.
Right.
but eventually you will be a good person, and you will heal, and you will learn how to heal, and you will learn how to treat people better. But it's not going to be easy, but you're going to eventually be a better person. That's what I would tell this little guy.
Okay. Now, I'm gonna turn the coin and say, if 75-year-old Abel walked in and you could talk to 75-year-old Abel, you could ask him one question, what would you ask him?
Will I ever find happiness as well? That's what will I ever completely heal, and will I ever find happiness in my life? That's what I would ask him.
That's a good one.
And I really, really do, without getting too emotional with that, like, I would definitely ask myself that, will I find peace, and will I find happiness, true happiness and true peace?
Right. So now we just have to think about what kind of answer would we want to hear, right? And then how do we get there, right?
You know, that question got to me right there, man. I never even thought about it like that, and it really got me emotional just thinking about that. That's the first thing that comes to my mind.
Right. So like, will I be happy? Right? So obviously you want him to say, yeah, man,
I would love to hear
you're
that.
going to be fine, right? Everything's going to be fine. Just like you told 5-year-old Abel, you're going to be all right, right? So then now we just need to reverse engineer. Okay, I'm going to be fine. I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be happy. How did I get there? What did I do to get there? And I think you're already on that. You're already a few years deep onto that path, right?
I hope so.
So the question I sent you to give you some preparation for, because I feel like it would be really hard to just spring it on somebody, but metal workers have their forge, which is their fire. It's like thousands of degrees, okay? It gets the metal hot so that we can shape it. Then we have the anvil, which, if you've ever seen a cartoon, everybody knows what an anvil looks like. It's weird looking. There's like a horn on one side, there's a really flat surface on top, and then there's another shape on the back, and they're heavy. They're hundreds of pounds of just raw iron. And we use the anvil to shape the metal that we've gotten super hot. That horn is how we make curves in it. The flat part is how we flatten it out and squish it out, right? And then we have the hammer, which we have, if we are the steel, okay, if we men are the raw steel, we need a fire to get us hot. We need something that allows us to become shapeable. And then the anvil is, what are we trying to be? What kind of shape are we trying to achieve? And the hammer is what beats us into it, right? The hammer is the unrelenting, you could say pressure, right? When you hammer something, that's direct pressure, right? It's concentrated effort to make you what you're trying to be like. So I threw the question out to you. Who is your forge? Who is your fire? Who is your anvil? And who is your hammer? How would you answer that question?
The way I would answer that question is, I myself was every single one of those pieces. Every single one of those pieces, I was that person, because I had no one to help me heal. I had no one to help me forge myself into whatever version I was going to become through my adolescent years, teenage years, my adult life. I had no one through different stages of my life, through different versions of my life, I had to make different versions of myself. So I was that person up until I got into my 40s, where my daughters started to help forge me. My wife started helping forge me into the person that I have become now. So it was different steps, different versions of me where I'm saying, you know what, I did this with myself because I had no one to speak to, no one to go and cry to, no one to talk to. But as I got older, my daughters, my mother, my wife, they helped forge the person that I am now.
Awesome. And then I'm going to throw a curveball at you. Do you think anybody would say that you are one of those three things to them?
I would like to think that I have been one of those three things to someone. I know I've helped out a lot of people. I would like to say yes, that someone out there does appreciate me and they would consider me one of those tools.
Cool. So let's end with something a little more lighthearted because it was a really heavy conversation. We talked about a lot of not necessarily downer stuff. I don't want to phrase it that way, but just very heavy emotional topics. When I asked you to, like a year ago, when we were talking about just doing like a test run, okay, I knew almost nothing about you. I just knew you did jujitsu with Andrew, okay, and then semi-recently, you had posted a picture on Instagram of you with Tommy Chong. And I'm like, oh, this dude's like been locked up before.
Yeah.
That's interesting. And I just didn't think anything of it after that.
Yeah.
Okay? Whatever. People go to jail all the time.
Yeah.
Whatever. And then when I asked you to send me like a short little bio before we started recording so I could have an idea of like where it was like 10 minutes long and my wife was sitting next to me as I listened to those voice messages. I hope you don't mind. Maybe I shouldn't have said that, but
It's okay.
we're in bed and we're unwinding, we're watching Netflix, whatever. And I'm listening to your voice messages. And I looked at my wife, I'm like, holy shit, dude. Like this guy's got a lot to say. So thank you for sharing all of that. The idea behind this podcast is everybody has a story to tell.
Everyone does.
Everybody. And my approach is I have to have something in common with somebody to spark this kind of a conversation. Okay? And I have jujitsu in common with a lot. Like I felt like that was, if I wanted to do a podcast, jiu-jitsu was going to be my entrance, in my icebreaker. Okay? So everybody has a story to tell. We both do jiu-jitsu, and I know that somebody that watches this is going to be inspired, and I'm going to leave it at that. I think you're going to touch somebody with everything you had to say.
I'll just leave it off with this one. I don't want anyone to feel sorry for me. That was my destiny to live like that. That was from the beginning of when I was sparked. That was my destiny to end up like that. I don't want anyone to feel sorry for me. Everything that I brought on to myself as an adult, I brought it onto myself. I accept full responsibility for every negative action that I have caused onto myself. So when I tell my story like this, I don't say, "Oh, please feel sorry for me, feel a little bit of pain." No. So that's one thing that I just want to make clear. I don't want anyone to be like, oh, he's poor Abel. No, nothing like that. Nothing like that. That's just what happened to me, and that's
Yeah.
just it. I can't fake that.
And I think it's one of those things, dude. Let's fix your microphone real quick because it looks like that clip is about to fall off. There we go. Perfect. Let me double check mine too.
That's good.
Okay. I'm hoping that somebody can hear you tell your story and realize, like, damn, like everything this guy's been through, and he midlife, 45, maybe somebody in their 20s that's going through what you went through in your 20s, okay? Or maybe not exactly, but maybe things aren't going as smoothly as they do in the movies, right? They're like, man, life's hard. I think we really, in our 20s, I think we kind of take advantage of, we're still in the phase of taking advantage of life.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But by the time we hit our 30s, that's when we realize I goofed off too much.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And so there's going to be at least one person, I think, that hears what you have to say and realizes, you know what, we can make changes, and so we need to make changes.
You need to make changes,
And
positive
I'm going to
changes.
start making those changes.
Yeah.
So, 2 last questions. What is how does jiu-jitsu correlate to your life outside of jiu-jitsu? What is the biggest impact that jiu-jitsu has on your everyday life?
To have patience. That's one thing that it has taught me, to have patience, to be able to control my anger. Those are 2 main things. Those are big things right there. To be able to control my anger and be able to have patience for people when they put me in situations where, and when I say situations, I'm not saying like every day someone wants to fight you, not like that, but when you're wherever you're at and someone says something
Somebody
negative,
cuts you off in
someone
traffic.
cuts you off, because I used to be one of those dudes where like, F you.
Oh, yeah, that ruined my day.
There was this time, man, there's a quick little story there, but way before jiu-jitsu, there was a guy, there was a dip, and I was going too slow on that dip, and the guy wanted to cross already, and he started flipping me off in the middle of traffic, and this is in the middle of traffic during the day, and I got so pissed off that I followed him, and I had my family with me. I followed him, we got to the lights, and I could see where that person was heading into. He went into a shopping center, and I remembered the vehicle that he was in. We were headed towards Walmart. I dropped off my family at Walmart, and my wife goes, "Where are you going?" And I go, "Nowhere, just get off. I'll be back right now." I went straight to that shopping center where they were at. I got off of my vehicle. I went straight into the store. I found the individual that had flipped me off and was telling me a bunch of stuff. I went up to him and I told him, "What's up, dude? What's up? You're over there flipping me off. I'm right here. You want to get down? Let's get down." In the middle of the store. In the middle of the freaking store. And the guy goes, "You know what? I don't want any problems with you." But I look back at that moment, I'm like, what were you thinking? This guy could have had a gun? Like, you look so stupid doing that, Abel. You risked your freedom, possibly your life, for what? To prove to this individual that you were tougher than him? That's not tougher than him. Tougher is, you should have gone, letting it go, gone into your, gone shopping with your family, and letting that situation go. Yep. I feel so stupid now, putting myself in that situation that I could have lost my life. I could have gone to jail. What if this guy would have been like, "All right, let's get down," or pull out a gun on me?
Yep.
I wouldn't be here today. So those are the types of situations that jiu-jitsu has taught me to, hey, be patient, just let those things go, let the ego go. There's no need to put yourself in that type of situation anymore. Yeah. That's it.
Patience is a big one with jiu-jitsu. And I feel like when we get angry, it's like anger is an emotion, right? Yeah. And so when we get angry, we're having an emotional response to something. Well, good or bad, emotional responses usually don't help us. Even if it's a positive emotional reaction, because sometimes we can overdo it. We get super excited about something, and we can go too hard that way. And so, yeah, the patience and just knowing, no matter how bad it is right now, I can get out of this.
Yeah.
And no matter how good it is right now, I can get swept.
Oh yeah.
Right? So we don't get too happy about Mount, and we don't get too nervous about having our back taken, right? It's all good.
Yeah.
So, final question. Who's your favorite Ninja Turtle and why?
My favorite Ninja Turtle is Michelangelo. That is my favorite Ninja Turtle. And if anyone gets the Michelangelo from the McDonald's, let me know and I'll buy it out for you.
All right, I'm gonna post this tonight on Instagram.
If anyone finds there's 2 Michelangelos on that came out of the McDonald's toys that they're giving out right now with the Happy Meals, if anyone has those 2 Michelangelos, hit me up and I'll buy them.
There's 2 different
There's 2
Michelangelos?
different ones, yeah, there's 2
All
different
right.
ones, yeah.
All right,
Yes.
I'm gonna put that up and we'll see what happens.
Yes, and the reason why I like Michelangelo since I was a small child, a very young child, is because he's always a happy one. He's always a happy one, the one that brings all that positive energy to the group of 4, 5 if you're counting Master Splinter. And that's one version of me that I would like to be: happy, energetic, the funny guy. I would love to be like Michelangelo, have that attitude, have that positive aura around him all the time. You know,
He's never bummed out.
he's never bummed out about anything in the world. He's probably the happiest turtle of all of them. You know, Raphael's always angry and upset and grumpy. Donatello, he's stuck with his gadgets that he's always working on. You know, and then you got the leader. You know, he's busy being the leader. But Michelangelo is always happy. Nothing bothers him. He doesn't go through depression. He doesn't have any negative thoughts. He's always a happy, joy turtle. And I would love to be like that turtle.
Nice.
And plus, I like the nunchucks.
Nunchucks. You said you had some nunchucks.
I have some nunchucks. Yes,
right?
they finally made them legal.
All right.
I don't know if you know this, but they were illegal for a long time because of the Bruce Lee movies.
Right.
And finally, like during COVID, 2021, whatever it was, they finally made them legal, and I got myself a pair of nunchucks. Yeah.
Right on, man.
Yeah.
Abel, thank you for
thank you for having me.
Thank you for sitting down with me twice for 2 hours each time
2 hours each time.
to help me get this recorded. I apologize for the inconvenience from last time.
It's okay.
But we finally got it worked out, and thank you for opening up.
Oh, thank you.
And
thank you.
It's gonna help. It's gonna help me. You've given me some things to think about, so I know for a fact you've given everybody else some things to think about. And thank you for putting yourself out there, and letting people hear about your life.
Thank you for having me.
You didn't have to do that, but I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.